Hey guys, welcome back to the Open Chest Anime Podcast with your host, the Anime Collector, and as always, my co-host, Anjoba Agi,
Staying alive and shaking the beehive, and with us is our Canadian
who is
friend,
now muted.
FTDM.
Hello. Happy Canada Day
What
weekend.
the hell is going on? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I apologize for the bad internet. No, dude, when it cut to you, you weren't moving your mouth, and but you look like my delay on your your mouth, but your mouth wasn't moving the entire duration. All right. Anyway, so
half of that, but
I don't think we have pictures.
fair warning, I am quite tired in California. What's up? What's going on?
I forgot how long the delay
is. Start.
I'm not sure.
It's like 30 seconds, but it's not. Shouldn't be that way for me. It should be that way for the channel, for like people, the audience watching. Anyway, so I'm really tired in California. It's exhausting being here because like when you're at home, your house is kid-proof to the best of your ability, and you've got your routine down, all out the window out here. So I have made a concerted effort to make this a shorter podcast tonight, in terms of the number of articles and everything as well. So let's jump right in and start talking. And first of all, I want to remind you guys to like
I guess that's on Brad's end because me and Augie both didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Also, it's probably a 30-second delay before he hears that.
Ring the bell. Join our Twitters. Join our Facebook group.
Join our
have
Patreon,
some stuff.
Not our Twitters.
On the Patreon.
I mean, sure, you can follow us on Twitter if you want. Like this video if you want us to succeed. Oh, poor Brad. He's in the ocean right now when he does come back.
His background looks like
not my connection because my program that goes between computers for my mouse is not lagging whatsoever.
Oh, I think I'm fine. What's it show? Black screen on YouTube.
Otaku in the chat says, just turn your bit rate down. Thank you for that comment, Otaku.
Otaku's in the know. Up, down, ready, and let's go.
Reese says, we heard like AC, and now nothing.
Oh, AC is going to be furious. And
damn,
sadly, there's
Brad
nothing.
Has worse internet than FDDNM. Thank you for the comment. We appreciate all of our viewers' comments.
Well, we are here to provide by your support.
Exactly.
So this podcast, we're going to be discussing Dimension W.
All right.
Ooh, spin this baby around.
I hear Brad inhaling. In disappointment,
Breathe in.
Should we? Okay.
Also, for the next
all this is obnoxious.
For the next podcast, we're going to be discussing Doro. So spin that baby around. There we go. Pure black and white. With some of the live action to be seen.
I think the pilot film is color, which is weird. Yeah.
Wait. See.
Hello, Brad. Earth to Brad.
Is AC talking yet? See him blank.
Well, he's not talking. He's just, I don't know. Reese,
zoned out.
Thank you for the comment, Reese. We appreciate all of our viewers' comments.
Oh, fuck.
What's wrong, AC?
30 seconds later, and then he'll...
Okay.
Joined.
Let me figure out which one of these is the brave one,
Oh,
so I can
joy.
leave it.
For those of you who can't hear, we're hearing like double AC right now. So
Okay, and I'm still in here twice, but I quit Brave, so oh well.
You are significantly better now.
Yeah.
And you can hear us in real time.
It took me. I could hear you in real time the whole time. It wasn't the hearing; it was the visuals.
But you responded like 15
I'm gonna
seconds
thank
later.
Otakaso for his other wonderful comments, since I don't think you did.
Which one?
Full package food, dick.
I was gonna mention that there was some
Okay.
full package food comment, but
All right. So as soon as I opened up Chrome,
I think we need to just jump into it without explaining what
yes,
happened.
I'm trying. I'm trying. This is just such a nightmare. I hate it. At home when we do this, I plug in the Ethernet, and I don't have that here, and it's just I'm suffering through it. I'm so glad I made the podcast shorter today. If you'd like to support this podcast, if you made it this far into this egregiously long intro, please like this video. And you can also support us through the Open Chest Anime Podcast Patreon, seen here. And if you'd like to help the channel itself, you can do that through the Anime Collector Patreon. Now, I have some new designs, namely this wonderful masterpiece, and I think this one is new too. So I actually brought my Cintiq from home to work on this and got it done just in time that I'll get
You're breaking up again for me.
Rebecca Rossellini. But and this is a shirt I saw in the reel while I was looking for something for another video. All right, let's jump into it. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you currently.
Okay.
Peace.
So, regarding the Vic Mignogna court case, first of all, Vic, Ron, and Monica have been deposed. We'll talk about that in a minute. Prior to that happening, Monica Rial tweeted this out. Hey everyone, my schedule is crazy for the next few weeks, so I may not be as responsive as usual. I'll still post updates though, just wanted to give you a heads up. Once things slow down, I'll be back to chatting with you. Much love to all of you. And because Ron Toye's tweets are protected, I couldn't provide you guys with an archive or anything of his actual tweet, but I've got a screenshot of it posted by Supergirl. Hello, Twitterverse. My schedule is crazy for the next few weeks, so I will not be very responsive or post much on here. I wanted to give everyone a heads up, and when things get back to normal, I will be back at it. Smiley face. So it sounds like this was some legal advice on behalf of their lawyer to stop talking.
We could have at least not copy and pasted it.
You know, they actually aren't. They actually aren't. My schedule is crazy is pretty much the... for the next few weeks. That's pretty much the only thing that's exactly the same, right? But he said, so I will not be responsive. She said, oh no, they did. Yeah, that is. So I will not be as responsive. She said, I will not be as responsive as usual. He said, I will not be responsive.
Well, I'll just say if
here.
they wrote a paper on these tweets, they would not get a passing grade.
Yeah. So anyway, just noting this, that this seems... I mean, anybody with a brain is going to look at this and think, okay, it's probably due to some legal pressure, or, you know, you're going to lose this case. Shut up from the lawyer. Now, as I said, Vic, Ron,
gets them to act like an adult.
Yeah, well, as I said, Vic had his deposition. Now I'm gonna preface this by saying that Rekieta prefaced when he talked about this by saying that obviously he's biased in favor of Vic, right? And Ty, Vic's attorney, is biased in favor of Vic as well. But that, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but that according to Ty, the deposition went extremely well. And supposedly, according to somebody else who was there, probably stenographer or the person in charge of videoing the deposition, somebody in a capacity that wasn't one of the other lawyers also had mentioned allegedly that Vic was probably one of the best deposee or whatever you call them that they've ever seen, right? That it went extremely well. So take of that what you will. Ron, not so much. So first of all, Rekieta had mentioned that the strategy for deposition is to throw a curveball, and that a good lawyer is going to. You are paying out the nose for a deposition. Not only because Vic's deposition was 6 hours, so in the courtroom or in the where the deposition is being taking place, you're paying for 6 hours of as many of your attorneys are there, they're being paid for that time, right? And I'll remind you, according to a source that I have that I'm not 100% on this, but the word on the street is that Casey, Eric, Monica, and Ron's lawyer cost $900 an hour or somewhere in that ballpark. So you're not only paying that lawyer $900 an hour for 6 hours to be there at Vic's deposition, you're also paying the other two lawyers. In their case, they had a female who is no longer at the firm, a female lawyer who's no longer at the firm that Casey Eric is part of, but is still attached to the case because she left after joining the case, and I guess she's just seeing out all the cases she's on or whatever. And then another lawyer that came in, some guy with a French name that ended up doing the deposition. So you're paying all three of them their rate for 6 hours just for that deposition, but you're also paying them to prep you for deposition. And the best
what? The best what?
What's that?
You went.
Can you guys
into
not
the
hear me
ocean
again?
as soon as you said that. The best.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. You kind of scattered a bit when FDM started talking for a little.
But the point is you can hear me now, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So the best way to be prepared for a deposition is to be prepared for all types of deposition. That means somebody who's going to treat you hostilely, somebody who's going to, good cop, bad cop, all those things. You want to be prepared for those, right? And that is going to take even more time than the deposition itself. So bottom line is you can expect to spend $20,000 or $30,000 for a deposition, right? Easy. I mean, that's probably a low number. Ron spent his deposition where they were deposing him, where Ty's team was deposing him. They asked him about all 396 or however many tweets there were. They asked him about every single one of them. And for every answer, allegedly, he said, I don't recall if that's a tweet I made. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
And then...
how's that? Team.
Then Ty took Casey Eric into see the judge because you guys remember I was talking about how they had been given permission to do the depositions at the courthouse so that if there were issues, they could go and speak to the judge. Although last podcast, I misspoke when I talked about the July 18th hearing. And I was saying that I thought they were going to do the depositions there because the depositions just happened. They were this last week, right? So anyway, they went in to see the judge, and Ty said, I can't get the defendants to confirm the evidence presented or whatever. I forgot the exact phrasing. So the judge just flat out asked him, is this whatever, and he danced around it for a second, and then said, yes, they're authenticated, right? Which means that they spent God knows how long going through all 400 tweets with Toye saying, no, I don't recall, only to have in one sentence Casey Eric authenticate all of them. So that's going to be interesting. And also the last thing is that they were hostile towards Vic in his deposition. And Rekieta had said that if it had been him, that you would use a woman to depose Vic, and you would be as kind as possible and basically try to trip him up by making him like you, to the point where he would want you to like him back, kind of thing, in just a friendly way, not necessarily like a sexual way. You're not seducing Vic in deposition. Anyway, and obviously they went at him volatile and hostile, right? And I just think it's so funny that they would choose that, because Vic has so much experience dealing with hostile people with his religion, especially, like the people picketing and protesting anime conventions with the "you're going to hell" signs and everything, all that stuff. He's got so much experience dealing with those kind of people that it was just a really bad move on their part. And of course, Vic was prepared. So anyway, that's what's going on with the deposition. Now, the depositions have been recorded, and there will be a transcript available as well. The transcript will almost certainly get to us first. By the way, they didn't file a TCPA. It seems like that ship has sailed. They may still file one, but it just doesn't seem like their plan has gone well. Also, Monica's deposition apparently didn't go so bad either. And I think that's to be expected, because it was Toye who was saying the most, right? She had like her jelly bean story and stuff like that, which I'm sure was horrifically embarrassing. Because
So you said horrifically embarrassing, and now you're in the ocean.
All right, so I'm sure it's horrifically embarrassing to have to answer about fucking hell. Okay, I'm just gonna get Brave back up so that I can switch between when this happens. All right, so I'm sure it's embarrassing to have to go through and have somebody ask you those questions about the jelly bean story and have to pretend to answer them with a straight face, right? Anyway, but so I'm noticing the Google Hangouts streams.
Anyway, is what you said.
In the future.
Then
so
you're cracked up again.
Kill me! Just fucking kill me right now. I'm half a mind to just restart the podcast and try to like reset the router. All right. So anyway, back to it. I'll just wrap this up as fast as I can, because fuck me. Sarah Wiedenheft's brother was found guilty. Already opened those. So this is Sarah Wiedenheft. She's the voice of Toru in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. You guys remember that her brother was arrested on possession of child pornography, and that he had she had said, like, let's wait till the facts come out, innocent until proven guilty, all that kind of stuff. And that they actually, this is actually kind of funny, they started a GoFundMe for him, and his own mom only pledged $25. That's not a good look. So this is him, Sarah Wiedenheft's brother, Bradley Joseph Wiedenheft. Here's the 4 counts of possession. Now,
how do they count it? Does he have specifically 4 pictures or something?
No, I'm gonna assume it was 4 videos that he was file sharing. Because the way, if you guys are coming into this fresh and you aren't aware, the way that they found him and the way that they find people doing this is, and this is kind of funny, when I was growing up as a kid, I had this weird belief that because, and this is something that a lot of kids at my school shared, it was like the talk of the town. We had this belief that because counterfeiting money is illegal, that the second you put a dollar bill in a photocopier, the FBI would kick in the door and arrest you. like the moment it happens, the moment you hit copy, they bust down the door.
They bust down the door.
How?
And then you cut out.
I'm switching to Brave again.
It's funny because every time I say you cut out and then you say, "Oh, damn it," or whatever, you're back when we hear you complaining about it.
I'm back. Yeah, that's the thing. I just it's so frustrating because I just need to know that you guys can hear me again so I can start over, or restate it.
Okay, push forward.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yes, we can.
All right. So, let me see if I can do it this way. I don't have to close everything. So anyway. So the possession of sexual performance of a child, the 4 counts of it, the way that they found him again is that he was file sharing them, meaning that he was seeding them. They traced the source back to his computer as one of the people sharing it, right? Which means that using a peer-to-peer thing like LimeWire, possibly a torrent thing, but specifically, peer-to-peer like LimeWire, if you download it and you don't, move it off of the folder that shares or whatever, people can access it through your computer and they can also download it, right? Seeding and torrenting and all that file share nonsense. So they are finding you through that, right? That you are sharing it, they ping it through the IP, and that's how they track you down. So the 4 counts, I'm assuming, are 4 separate videos that were on his computer, right? Now, here's the thing, though. I couldn't confirm whether or not the things on his computer was actual child pornography or if it was lolicon, right? Now, in the eyes of the law in certain parts of the United States, and there is precedent and stuff of people being arrested for lolicon and whatever, it might not matter, but to me it does matter because my own personal belief is that the same thing with like marijuana. I don't think people should go to jail for 20 years for possession of something that's never killed anybody. You know what I mean? But same thing with this. It's like, look, I can understand the sentiment, but I just don't. It doesn't carry nearly the same weight, And I'm going to view this person differently depending on the actual thing rather than the buzzword of child pornography. However, I feel like in the things I read, they would have used a phrasing like depictions of sexual performance of a child rather than straight up saying that, right? So the terminology doesn't specifically say one way or another, but I am going to side on it's probably actual child pornography that this guy was found with, but that's just me. I still haven't had it confirmed outright. Now, Panama City Beach.
What about Panama City Beach?
Arrested.
Keep talking.
He was arrested with 4 counts of possession of sexual performance of a child after his arrest on Wednesday. According to the arrest affidavit, an investigator with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, that's a terrible name for a police station, was looking into computers in the Northwest Florida area, offering to share videos of child pornography through peer-to-peer or peer-to-peer networks. The investigator connected Wiedenheft as the owner, offering to share. Okay, he was looking into computers. Okay, see, when you read this, if you read it wrong, it sounds like he's offering, like the police department's offering to share, which at times they probably do as an entrapment measure. But anyway, on February 13th, they executed a search warrant, seized a desktop computer identified as belonging to him. During a forensic preview of the computer, investigators, according to the report, located 4 videos on the computer's download directory depicting children between 3 and 10 years old engaging in sexual activity with an adult. So because they phrased it that way, it says depicting. Damn it, that's exactly the phrasing. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But I'm going to assume it is live human beings that were victimized or whatever. But anyway, investigators note several other items were seized in the search that are being forensically examined. During the search, Wiedenheft immediately asked to speak to an attorney, though records do not show that he has one appointed to him. So anyway, he's also been arrested numerous times in the past for speeding, animal destruction of property, whatever that's supposed to mean, allowing a dog to run at large. I'm assuming he had similar case here. He let this dog run at large, meaning going off of not having a leash, and that the dog damaged property, right? Fail to carry and exhibit a driver's license. Hey, baby, thank you.
Hi, little anime collector.
I think that might be his wife he's talking about.
Oh.
Stop sign. Control. No, it was my daughter that walked it. My was with her, but she brought in the thing and handed it to me. My little almost 2-year-old. Anyway, controlled substance less than 20 grams of marijuana, speeding in a posted municipal zone, failure to obey traffic control device, and unlawful operation of a sound making device, which is record as a civil traffic. So maybe, I don't know. That one in his fired report, hey, of God damn it, come on. I hate Twitter. Okay. He was required to pay a fine of over $1,000. I don't remember the exact amount. He must register as a sex offender, provide a DNA sample. He has several months of community service. And the interesting thing is that this guy here noticed that he had forgotten to do as the court commanded and did not register as a sex offender. According to the National Sex Offender Search, they used the name Joseph Wiedenheft, Bradley Wiedenheft, and Brad Wiedenheft to see if he was in there, and there's no record of him, which is a serious crime if he didn't. However, they go on to mention that it's possible that there's a several day, like, business day, whatever thing that they're going to wait until next week to determine for sure that, this is a big deal. But it's just an interesting development in that case that we're following. And I've got two things here that I did not read.
Before you go, move on. Reese says, "Get the little anime collector to be a cookie."
What?
Little as
Okay.
in anime collector to be, as in one word, a cookie. So your
G
daughter.
Kubo
Get her a.
Shizuru says Bradcoon.
I can't see.
I was a wonder of.
Chat.
Oh, the reason I said that is because it's a $2 super chat.
So I
Sorry.
wonder why they're so busy. Example says, your channel was not showing as live for me.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Thank you, Reese. Get a little okay, that's what you.
I can't see the chat. This is so fucking annoying.
So continue with the article.
I'm trying. Let me pull up the chat. Just give me a second. Here we go. Okay. Get the little anime collector to be a cookie. Okay, gotcha. All right. See, when you said to be and then clarified it was one word, I thought you meant like the robot from Nier Automata. Anyway, all right. Thank you for that, Reese. All right. So, Tekko Convention issues statement on Vic Mignogna, says there were reports of misconduct. Says.
Are you speaking, Dad?
Up on the TechCon. What's up?
Start from the beginning.
Hello?
Yeah.
You kind of
kill me.
Tazzed into glitches.
Okay.
We can hear you now. Continue.
All right. I'm just gonna switch back and forth between.
Just go for it.
5 minutes, and then I'll just off myself in Minecraft later. I'm trying. Okay. So the Kickbit crowd is still at it. What happened, just to give you a story, is that a Twitter account called the Ghost of Convention Past or something had come out. Again, all the same as normal, doesn't really prove anything. And things that are not crimes. Like he was found in an empty room after a panel talking to some teenage girls. It's like, oh, okay. In the all those kind of things. Like, is there any police report? All that stuff. So anyway, they made a statement about it, and they had. Long story short, they basically say, "Oh, there's absolutely no record of this. They didn't. If this did happen, there wasn't a record of it, or they didn't provide that during the transition of the fact that." And there's so they don't have those records if they exist at all, and that they've had no issues with Vic since then or whatever. It was.
And he left the room. So, FD&M, want to go through pickups briefly?
I'll go through pickup.
All right. So, just to re-show, I have fireworks. Woo, spin that spinny. All right. I may have shown it before, but I want to make sure I got it in. Then I have Yokai Watch Season 1 Walmart edition promotional with the mini mangas. Woo, spin that baby around. It comes with 13 episodes. Wow. You can watch a lot of this on Amazon right now, including the movie, and I think it's up to 4 seasons right now. There's a pre-order for the second season, which is supposed to come out in August. Along with that, something FDM also has is Sailor Moon Super S Volume 1. Woo, spin that baby round, right round,
Correct.
baby, right round.
I do have Volume 1, not 2.
Not 2. 2 hasn't come out yet. Then we have Megalobox right here, as seen from In My Hands. Spin that baby around. This is a futuristic retelling / reboot of Tomorrow's Joe, or Champion Joe, if you want to go by that subtitle.
You're lucky I don't have
that alternate name for it. The guy Joe is not a complete ass in this one, and it takes different liberties with it. The music is quite interesting in that regard. And last but not least, as I mentioned before, with this copy of Orange, you got Bushed and Bashed. I finally got a copy from Funimation, which I now have a mint one. Spin that baby. And it's not glossy as the other one, but it's also missing the art book.
To make the internet slightly less bad.
Right, so that is all my...
Well, nobody's using it. I don't know how to make it less bad.
Because I just got kicked out of the call, and the stream will end if I'm out of the call long enough.
What?
The stream is going to end.
I hear your
Luckily,
call.
that was all my pickups.
All right. Quesadilla. My poor wife. Trying to put the kids down by herself. I'm totally locked out of this. This is so obnoxious. If you guys can hear me, can you message me on Facebook? Because
yes.
We can.
I'm staring at a blank
hear
screen
you.
right now. I think I got in just in time to prevent it from closing out the stream. But I can't see anything. So
I don't have Messenger open.
maybe I should just watch the stream on my phone. Catch up.
Let's see. They can see me. Hey, how you doing? Right now we're doing some technical difficulties, and between me and FD&M, we are messaging through an alternative IMing source to try to troubleshoot the situation.
Right now.
Well,
no, it says 9 on this browser. We lost people.
And right now it says it's 9 on this browser for what he's trying to do. So, question of the day: what titles are you looking
at? Let me see if I can screen share.
Forward to when
this is what I see.
makes their Otakon announcement of release.
Hello, everyone. Hey, at least I can. There we go. Now I'm back. At least.
All right.
Can you guys turn your? Let me see if I can do it for you. Oh, there.
I still have
you back. I still can't hear you.
Oh boy. You know I got the complete Adventure Kid.
This is the main reason.
You betcha. Let's see. That was regarding to Reese messaging hey at me.
I can't
me on my alternate.
But
you can't hear
alternate name. Do you still have Adventure Kid? And yes, I do.
What a fucking disaster.
So.
All right, I'm gonna try join through Safari this time.
Do you have any more pickups, Augie?
I do not have any more pickups, and I am not sure who can hear me on the stream. Sadly.
Okay, well I have one singular. I'm good.
Oh, we can see AC in the stream now. And he's eating a panini.
Okay, am I good to do my one pickup?
You have to ask AC to lock on to you.
You weren't locked on, were you?
I was for a while.
Okay. Well, because I'll be the primary source of audio, it will go to me anyway. I got Sailor Moon Crystal Set 3 Limited Edition because that was the only one I was missing. I was putting it off because I was waiting for it to go on sale, but it never went on sale. And I don't want it to go up print. Okay. I'm good. I'm done.
Let's see. CAC drinking a monster. Oh.
Safari or whatever.
Yeah, it's locked on AC, as everyone's saying.
Okay, well, you guys verbally heard what my pickup was.
Yeah, it's nice and blue.
So everyone's just watching Brad eating.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna
we'll
see if
just
I can join on
comment
my
over
phone.
this.
I heard you
So,
say I'm going to see if I
GoFundMe
can join on my
saves
phone,
Swayze's
but
butt.
your lips aren't moving.
Wrong password.
So the next
That's
topic
interesting.
is Save Swayze's butt. So this is what the GoFundMe reads. Our friend John Swasey has spent the past few weeks in the hospital. He has been diagnosed with what's called luteal abscesses.
Oh,
Without
John
getting
I
too
legitimately can't do
graphic,
anything
it's
about it.
basically a big
I can click on
cord
Augie, but I don't think it's going to jump to him.
inside his butt cheek.
I think it's
As
locked
hilarious
on
as
me
it
because it can only get
is,
audio
in
for
fact,
me on
quite
this
dangerous and
sector of
painful and
things.
expensive. Due to several complications, the treatment has been taking far longer than anticipated, leaving John out of work. John has a beautiful, loving family of 5 who rely on his consummate hard work and income. We ask on their behalf to help them get through the growing hospital bills so they can put their focus on where it belongs, on saving Swayze's butt.
Did you guys do
But
pickups?
so far, this is
I did, and John?
We did.
Your name's not John. Augie
Augie
did
has.
his pickups, yes.
Okay, so you're.
Let's see. So it's focused on
I see
these.
you jumped on to John Swasey.
Maybe this is a good way to start using Discord or something to podcast.
No, YouTube is switching over to something called webcam or something. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But that doesn't happen until August 1st. So we have some time to sort through that. Can you guys see me? Okay.
No, but I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
so
I
I'm
have it
sharing.
on. Okay. Can you?
So if
switch
this is
to
still
me?
on me,
There.
this is John Swasey. Scrolling down is what I just read, and his family of 5, I guess, including him as well. So far, he's raised a goal. His goal of 5,000 has been met, and it has been at $7,642. Thank you. And this was
You're
raised
saying
in 2
so
days.
much about this. I was literally just gonna say, "Hey, voice actor John Swasey needs help."
I think he was trying to pad for time, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. Can we
Padding
go
for
back to
time. I'm
pickup?
trying to go over the article and move on to the next one.
I appreciate it, but can we go to
Yes,
really good?
please.
Okay, hold on. End the other call. What a disaster. I kind of want to do this and connect the AirPods to my phone so I can still hear you guys when whatever. I still can't see this thing. Okay, so you guys can see me through the other thing, or is it stuck on Augie? It looks like it's stuck on Augie. I don't even have a control.
You're kind of like going John goes to the mayor. Tom goes to the mayor mode on YouTube.
John Sephiroth mode.
I can't see shit. This is so frustrating. Oh, the stream status is okay. Oh, great. We're at 720p. That's amazing. Thanks a lot. How about your stupid thing works?
Just share the screen. We can.
I can't. I don't
We
have
might can hear you.
control.
Oh no, you lost control.
The screen pops up to resume the hangout, says, "Would you like to join?" Yes, and then it's gray, and that's all I see.
Someone should take this episode of the podcast and make a music video. You got all these different images and stuff. I mean, we're seeing different angles of this. Of the room that you're in.
You know, in previous podcasts, previous years, when did we just end the broadcast?
Live.
Oh shit, we're
that's
stuck.
live. I mean, it's showing what you're doing.
This has
3
happened
seconds
before.
ago.
If I leave the call long enough, the stream will end. Yeah, it's gray. Can you see this?
I can't see.
This is all I
anything.
see.
I see more on my end.
Stuck on
No, it's stuck on you. People can see the screen on YouTube.
X sample says you're live.
I literally can't even stop the stream to start over. I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi for a minute and turn it back on. Let's see if I can. So if we get kicked off, it's for that reason.
Gotcha.
Another repeat of Gunbuster.
That actually did a tremendous amount to get this working. I just need to log out. I'm on Safari. I'm logged into a different YouTube channel. So
still bummed out that the replacement of Orange
back in.
didn't come with the 2 special.
So did you do your pickup?
I did do my pickups. I did. It's to continue a topic so we can get ourselves adjusted. That way the viewer isn't just saying technical difficulties. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did. That's the 4th time we've said yes, we have.
We said yes. You ask us. We keep saying yes. We're trying to get the show on the road.
Everybody else did them so that. Okay, because when I said it the first time, it sounded like FDM had said only one of you guys had gone, and then every single fucking time I'm talking to you, everybody's talking over me, and I literally can't tell if you can actually hear me or not.
I can hear you.
They can hear you.
And now you guys are silent. Thank you.
What? We said yes. We can hear you.
Fuck.
We can hear you.
It's delayed.
Okay. In Safari, there's got to be some sort of delay happening.
There is.
Okay. I'm attempting to switch back.
Oh, this is cute. They gave me a new box for Orange, but they also gave me a new case for smartphone to another world. That's cute. So I'm still left with a shattered.
Okay.
Oh, Funimation, what the hell's wrong with you?
Wow, our stream is like Discotheque's warehouse fulfillment.
Turns out their warehouse is a subsidy of WB, which we've talked quite a lot about their recent problems lately. Yeah. All right, FDM, if I'm trying to find a specific Blu-ray case, where would I look? What number do I look, or where do I look at to get that specific kind?
What do you mean by number? You just look at how many discs there are, and they pretty much. Oh my god, this sounds terrible.
The echoes go forever.
Okay, now we're in Safari. No, are we back in Brave?
I hear and see you, Brad.
Okay, well, you guys can hear me. So you guys did pickups, yes?
Yes.
All right, now I'll do pickups. I went to Book Off the other day looking for OCA because podcast Patreon member had suggested it as a watch club thing, so I was going to try to pick it up. They didn't have it, even though they had it last time I was here. However, they did have Piano for $5 for each volume. And because I'm broke, I didn't want to pay that. So I left and I went to the other Book Off and they had it for $2.50 per volume. So I got it for half price.
All right.
And Augie, I found something quite interesting.
Ooh.
What does that say?
Wow. I believe that's the missing one, isn't it?
City Hunter Nicky Larson. This is a French DVD. I have no idea what's on it. It says Services Secrets, which is a great title that isn't at all annoying to say. So I'll have to look into that once we get back to once I get back home. But until then, I'm assuming you guys jumped forward on the God, let me even find out. I got so many fucking windows open now that are all browsers. I'm assuming you jumped forward past the next link there. I don't have. I'm assuming you have no idea what that was. And I've got I've got like 7 messages from different people telling me that you guys can hear me on Facebook. Thank you for that. All right. So I'm assuming you guys went through this and didn't have any idea what I was talking about.
We have not gotten to there, but please
Okay.
continue.
So, the Glorious Asuka Gang 2 Lonely Cats Battle Royale VHS found. This was sent to me by JT Master Jedi. So we have to look at this backwards to get this. He said, this YouTube channel, which is Kenny Lauderdale, who self-describes himself as a retro anime channel. It's about everything most anime channels don't talk about, whether it's lost media, VHS tapes, aesthetic 80s anime, or some forgotten TV show from Japan. You can be sure you'll find it here and only here, right? So he said,
I've watched his videos. They're not good. Continue.
I have a lead on the lost media VHS tape for Hana no Asuka Gumi's second anime, which is the one I was just telling you about. If all goes well, you guys will be the first people to see what it looks like in over 30 years. Cross your fingers and hope for the best. He said a day afterward, it lives. The tape is damaged in a few spots due to being played so much, but other than that, it works. We were extremely lucky on this one. This was very close to being lost media forever. We'll do a video on it as soon as I can. Thank you for everyone involved who made it possible. So this is an old Japanese OVA that was up until now lost to time. And it looks like he was able. He's part of a media preservation effort.
Did they make literally one copy of it?
No, it's an old VHS tape that has been very difficult to find. Rishi just sent me something. Oh, you found the Secret Service. Yeah, I'm just saying it says Services Secret on Services Secrets on the thing. But yeah, that is probably the one. It is Secret Service. Anyway, I just thought that was funny because we're always talking about Nicky Larson. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So back to stuff here. I'm going to skip over John Swasey's thing. Go into convention news. So, Crunchyroll Expo is going to host the world premiere of Mob Psycho 102 OVA. So the new season's OVA. Moving right along before I get kicked off of here. Oh. Because by the way, did I even get to show you guys the hold on, get out of here, Safari. Did I even show you guys the new shirts I made? Because I think I got cut off during that part. Yeah, okay. So let me
you probably need to if you do cover the Naruto one.
You already covered both of them.
You guys can find it yourself. I'm not doing this right now. Thank you for supporting the podcast, everyone. Okay, so this is why I was a little confused here. So San Jose McGurney Convention Center in California from August 3rd through September 1st. This is Crunchyroll Expo. The OVA will debut on DVD and Blu-ray disc in Japan on September 25th. The OVA will also have a release event on the same day at Animate Akihabara with Ito as a guest. So that's, I guess they're not getting it early or anything. They say it's world premiere. Hold up. Oh yeah, August comes before September. Yeah, I read that wrong. Yeah. So they're gonna have it like a month early. Anyway, so Funimation screens the live-action Tokyo Ghoul S, which is going to be 9:30 p.m. July 6th in the JW Marriott Platinum Ballroom, and Kingdom, July 4th at 7 p.m. in the Regal Cinemas LA Live. Which
Kingdom live action. I was going to say, did they make a new anime?
No. Both screenings will be the United States premiere for the films. Now, see, Anime News Network's Rafael Antonio Pineda chose to phrase that in a way where he could say he could apply it to both, but actually it is the U.S. premiere for Kingdom. I believe it's actually the world premiere for Tokyo Ghoul S, though. So Tokyo Ghoul S will open in Japan on July 19th, and we're seeing it July 6th, I think. Yeah. So the first film premiered on July 3rd, 2017 at Anime Expo in Los Angeles, which I did a video on that, if you guys want to check it out. And it's actually really cool because Samurai Jeff went and saw it with me when we did the first one, and he's actually going just for one day to Anime Expo, and it just so happens to be that he'll be there the day that that's going. So maybe he'll be able to be in a follow-up video where we cover the next movie. Funimation will screen Kingdom in theaters in the United States and Canada this summer. Now, TMS at Anime Expo 2019. So on day 4, I believe. Let's see what day they're written down here. Saturday the 6th. So day 3. They're doing a My Hero Academia season 4 premiere at 10 o'clock. But that, along with the 4DX screenings and the Pokemon 3D remake of the first movie or whatever, you need to have reserved wristbands for that in advance, which was a terrible strategy on behalf of Anime Expo, because last year when they did the wristband thing, when Augie and I tried to get into My Hero Academia, you actually had to line up day of to get in to Anime Expo, to get into another line in a specific part of Anime Expo to line up to get a wristband, and then line up again to actually get in to the premiere once you had the wristband. But theoretically, if you had the wristband, you're going to get in no matter what, right? Or they're not going to turn you away unless you come in late or something, right? So because that was the precedent set last year, like any rational human being, I assume when they use the words like wristband, that means they're going to do something similar this year. But apparently they had something else planned where you actually click a link and then you go into a queue, and they like filter out, and only like one person is allowed to put in their information. It was very bizarre. But anyway, I got the one for Pokemon, and I actually got one for my friend Dan as well, who's going to be like my main compadre
Will
on
be
this
your side
Anime Expo.
hoe.
my sidekick at least, right? But anyway, so we're going into that one. But unfortunately, I had no idea the 40X screening ones had already passed, so I'm not going to get to go to a 40X screening of Conan, which really sucks because that was one of the things I was most looking forward to. However, since I was actually like there at like 5:50, and I'm like, oh yeah, the My Hero Academia ones go on. You can reserve them at I looked down at my list. They were all sold because at the same time, Lupin the double feature. So they're going to be premiering Fujiko's Lie and Lupin the Third, Goemon's Blood Spray in English, with special guest Christina V, who voices Fujiko, Lex Lang, who voices Goemon, and Tony Oliver, who's listed as the ADR director of Fujiko's Lie. Isn't Tony Oliver also the voice of Lupin in the old part 2?
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
get that mixed
Believe
up.
so.
So anyway,
He's
Oh,
also
and-
the part 4.
Name regardless.
yeah. So they brought him back for part 4. Yeah. So what's up, Augie?
Regardless, Tony Oliver's a huge name, especially. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can
Yes,
see
yes.
myself in YouTube.
Continue.
I hear you. Keep
Regardless, he's like a huge name ever since he started in Saban Entertainment when it was starting up, and they were trying to do all the different children's shows to show on television, and the different anime dubs like a la Samurai Pizza Cats and projects of Power Rangers. Hence one of the characters' names being Tony Oliver.
Wait, there's literally a character called Tony Oliver in Power Rangers.
Oh, I can't believe you just admit that on camera. Yes, there is. He's the Green Ranger.
Okay.
Ooh,
All right. So
continue, please.
so the special guests here are going to be hosting a trivia contest and special prize giveaway, and all the visitors will also receive an exclusive Japanese fan designed especially for the screening. So once again, TMS has the absolute, they treat fans better than any other company at these screenings. As you guys saw with my Lupin, the Italian game first impression video, where I went in there and they had the con exclusive shirt celebrating the 50 years of Lupin, which weirdly, I guess we're now at the 55-year anniversary. I don't know. Maybe that's TMS's 55-year anniversary. That makes more sense. Anyway, so but yeah, they had the shirts and everything there for every single seat. Nobody who was in line didn't get one. It was pretty cool. So anyway, due to the mature nature of the 2 features, attendees will need to be over 18 years of age. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to Anime Expo and you want to see this, that probably means you need a wristband. But the wristbands for this are way easier to get. All you have to do is go to any of the booths that have like the I need a safe space mascot or whatever, and ask them to verify that you're over 18 and give you a wristband. And they're just going to look at your driver's license and give you a wristband. And that's all you're going to need to get in. Okay. You could do that.
Speaking of driver's license,
Got it.
I had a kid today come in and try and buy something with someone else's ID. Which, by the way,
Oh, no way.
up when I said that, apparently.
That's funny. And it's going to be at the JW Marriott Diamond Ballroom. What's up? I'm going to move on.
Nothing. I was just
anyway,
saying.
the first 10 minutes. Boy, the delay. This delay is fantastic. I say something.
I'm glad that we're finally getting that. There's a
and then the moment you start talking,
to...
I've started talking again because I'm thinking, oh, he must not hear me or whatever. So wonderful. Go ahead, Augie.
I'm glad that the Giga movie is finally being able to be legally seen in the U.S. because it's been a while since that movie's been released, like 2 or 3 years at this point. And I thought it was going to get a quick release, like with Jigen's gravestone. Right. Looks like Fujiko is getting the faster treatment in this case. But at least both are showing.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Now continue with the first 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, anyway, the first 10 minutes, it's actually 10 minutes and 40 seconds of the new Evangelion film. The 4th rebuild film are going to be screening at Anime Expo and Japan Expo, and apparently some other places too, all at the same time. So on July 6th, so first of all, this is also important to note, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rebuild films are screening in the JW Marriott Diamond Ballroom at 6 p.m. on July 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. Okay, so if you haven't seen any of them, you can go on day 1, 2, and 3 and see all of them. And then on after, I'm assuming they're going to have this screen right after the 3rd one. You'll be able to go in to watch this, which for me would have been amazing to actually get to go and do a first impression series that built up like what we thought of each one. But the problem is that they're at 6, and that first day I have to leave as soon as the Pokemon movie's over because it's my anniversary. I got to go see my wife. And then on the next day, I'm not missing Promea for Ava because that Fire Force thing is going to be too funny. So anyway, the Japan Expo will be in Paris. It's going to be titled Beginning 10 minutes 40 seconds 00 frame 0706 version, which is quite frankly the best title you could possibly give something related to Ava. Definitely not at all weird. The video will also screen at Anime Expo in Los Angeles and in Shanghai, as well as various places inside of Japan on July 6th. Toei also announced that it will release an Ava Extra smartphone app for iOS and Android on July 1st. The app will be free to download. The app will provide more information for the Operation 0706 project that the screenings are part of, as well as information about each work of the franchise and new news. The film will open in Japan in 2020. All right, so this is one of the coolest things. I mean, they do this a lot in Anime Expo, but this one in particular I thought was really cool. Although I'm sure it's probably going to be a cheap piece of paper thing instead of anything really awesome. But Crunchyroll is going to host a That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime stamp rally at Anime Expo. So they're actually giving out passports at the Bandai Namco booth. And if you take the passport to these other booths, you get a stamp. And if you get all the stamps, then you get a signed illustration card with signatures of the cast and crew. So kind of cool.
Japanese.
Hey, more slime isn't a crime.
So anyway, these are the booths you're gonna want to go to, which actually is like ridiculously easy to get to, considering you start here and then you get your first stamp there, go down, and all that stuff. So anyway, there's that, and then live action.
I believe Reese is gone to the bedside at this point. See you later, Reese.
Okay.
And Lance Powers has left as well. Probably because he's in a totally different time zone. But continue.
All right, so 7 months.
It's been like my time zone.
7 months shooting of Rurouni Kenshin live action film. Final chapter wrapped up. So the final chapter tells 2 stories based on the manga's final Jinchu arc and the 1999 OVA Trust and Betrayal. So
Sweet.
look forward to that. Should be the last thing. And I think it's kind of funny because this is the prequel, right? The Trust and Betrayal. This is the story of him as the manslayer. And of course, as always, you wait until it's your last film when the actor is technically older to record it. So that's great. Great job, guys. And Final Fantasy XIV being turned into a live-action series. That's interesting. Somebody on the anime YouTuber meetup Discord just messaged about the thing we were just talking about with Ava. Anyway, Final Fantasy XIV is being turned into a live-action series. So I'm going to read. It's very short. I'm going to read this one because I didn't have a chance to read it before. But I speculated going into this that it might have been a misunderstanding, and it was actually the thing that we talked about the father and son playing Final Fantasy together. But it seems like it's actually something more than that. So if you can't get enough of the spiky hair and swords twice as big as the person holding them, you're in luck. Sony Pictures Television and Square Enix this week announced a partnership to create a live-action show based on the hit MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. The press release was light on details, but that's primarily because the ink is barely drying on this deal. The show is in the early stages of development, so there's no word yet on things like casting, air date, platform, etc. In other words, don't expect to see anything solid tied to the show anytime soon, and considering how these things typically go, there's always a pretty good chance of the whole thing unraveling before it ever really starts to come together. Hopefully that won't be the case here. I'm just saying don't hold your breath until full production is actually up and running. Square Enix picked a good team to work with, though, as SPT is behind both The Expanse and the upcoming Netflix series The Witcher. That means they're comfortable working in the realm of fantasy and handling large productions boasting big casts, which it sounds like Final Fantasy series will feature. It sounds like the Final Fantasy series will feature. All we really know at this point is that the series is set in the same world as the online game, Eorzea, I don't know how to pronounce it, and that it will tell an original story about an ongoing conflict that's pitting magic against technology. Also, we can apparently expect plenty of Final Fantasy staples like chocobos and even a character named Sid. If they're going to make a live-action Final Fantasy series, it was wise to go with the MMO. There's a big world of inspiration to draw from, and while there's a narrative, it isn't one fans have a die-hard attachment to. In other words, less chance you're going to piss off the Uber fans. Here's hoping all the pieces start to fall into place. Depending on how things turn out, it might be cool to visit the world of Final Fantasy in an episodic series. All right. So it's like I said, it sounds like it's something different from what we were talking about before. Yep. Did you have something you want to say?
Not really.
Okay. It sounded like Augie
Can't
was.
wait to watch.
Okay. Streaming news. Okay, so you guys remember we talked about this not too long ago about how they were trying to set a world record by sending a phone into outer space, basically. They had to go 20 meters up. So that was actually that was the day after last podcast, and I actually tried to watch. I was watching this while it was live, but it was like 3 hours or 2 hours of nothing, of them, the host just talking and not actually anything interesting happening. So I ended up not seeing it until after the fact, but I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat here real quick and say that I think they faked this. At least they faked the broadcast. They had the UFO ramen, right? If you watch this film, first of all, they didn't go up 20 meters. They went up 30. They went up way higher, right, than they had planned. Or sorry, kilometers, not meters. So if you watch this, come on. If you watch this stream, there are parts of this stream where they have the, you'll see it in the corner here. You see it in the corner here. See how the background's moving? Now I'm going to find a part where you actually see it here, full screen. Does this look odd to anybody else? Actually, let me open it in YouTube, and that way I can do full screen.
Reese, I apologize. It was Otakaso who left.
I'm watching
All
a
right.
screen within a screen within a screen within a screen.
Can you see that okay?
Yes.
Can you see this? Yeah?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you see how the background's moving?
Not really, because right
Well,
now.
I just paused it. But you
Okay.
saw how the background is moving behind it?
Mm-hmm.
And the device here, the streaming device, isn't moving? First of all, I'm just going to say I'm pretty sure this is on a green screen. Because not only would there be some sort of camera shake, like the rig can't possibly be so
Well,
rigid that there's
what if-
no movement at all.
I was gonna say there's like GoPro's footage that's kind of
Sure.
like that. You see
Sure.
on the
But
biker's
what
head
I'm
or
saying is that this is taped together, and that at the very least you'd see movement here. And the other thing is, because it's moving, that's the Earth down there, right? So because it's moving, it's
Right.
spinning around right now, right? There's no ambient light in space. So the only light that is hitting this is the sun, and the light
sun has,
coming
like,
off of.
such harsh rays that you
Okay,
totally know.
so there's two lights in this scene: the sun and the iPad, or the phone, or whatever this is. Those are the only lights in this scene. But now there is some artifacting that occurs in the video feed that makes it turn funny colors, but there's no shadow shifts on the lighting. It just very much looks weird to me. So I don't know. I'm just saying.
When I send my payload for my senior design,
Tell
when I
me
send
about
my
your
payload.
Yes.
As a reminder, when I did my senior design, we create a payload and sent it up in the air in a weather balloon, which did touch the hemisphere of the Earth. So I was
the hemisphere.
So I was able.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, it went.
Okay.
Whichever you can see the skyline of the Earth and space, it went up that far.
Okay.
When it went all the way up to that point, it was spinning ridiculously all around.
I think the reason is because of the temperature, right? That the
all
air,
around. So you wouldn't
the air
get a
in the
stable,
balloon, right? Because the weather balloon's air is
Eventually
rapidly changing
the
with the air outside, right? So it causes it to spin. Is that
exactly
how it works? Yeah.
Well,
so
the payload's weight is different from.
Sure. So they sent this
from
up the same way. They used a weather balloon to do it, right? So that's my speculation here. Now, if they did have to fake it, good.
For a weather balloon, this thing would have been shaken all around, even if they encased it in some sort of some sort of plexiglass box. The background would still be violently spinning every which way with controlled lighting. But please continue.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It just seems bizarre. Now, it supposedly got a
Guinness World Record,
right? Their goal was to break the world record
for what?
And
highest altitude
for highest
live
altitude live stream on a smartphone. Yeah. So apparently they did it, or at least they claim based on the height they went that they did it. But Guinness has a very strict, I believe, at least they present themselves this way, has a very strict burden of proof or whatever for verifying. So I don't know. It is so inconsequential. It literally doesn't mean anything, right? If
they're
it's
on like that guy who, what is it? He had all those arcade records because he worked for the place or whatever.
Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, I think it's that guy.
Yeah, his own hot sauce.
Not anymore.
Not anymore since they proved they cheated, but
cheated. Yeah, he did have. He constantly got. Yeah, he constantly got taken out of and put back in the. Anyway, so back to it. I just thought it was funny because it's so weird. But however, when they sent the Tesla Roadster up into space, Elon Musk said that the reason it's not fake is because it looks so fake. And what he meant by that is because if you watch the movie, is it Gravity? Is that the name of the movie? With Sandra Bullock in the like the space station or whatever.
The
You know what I'm
lighting
talking
in the
about?
space and whatever is inaccurate because it looks so
Yeah, the lighting in
pretty
space
and
is
real.
inaccurate. It's inaccurate there. It looks great. It looks great, but the lighting is inaccurate because there's in the dark areas, like the dark side of the moon is pitch black, right? Because there's
Right.
no light there. The light does not hit it because the only thing close enough to produce light in our solar system that we can see is our sun, right? So so the Tesla Roadster actually looks fake because we're used to all these like in Star Wars they lit the models, right? That they took the um that they used for the miniatures and stuff, and they
What?
And they what?
What they do?
They lit the models and what? They got lit?
Oof.
they lit the models with actual lights that they did replicate what the sun would do, in terms of the harsh lighting, but it still bounces off other things in a more, like, you can tell that there's ambient lighting to a degree because of it, right? Anyway, so we're used to seeing 3D renderings of space that aren't actually accurate to what space would look like. Real
Right.
actual space would look like. It would be pitch black and anywhere where there's no light from the sun. So anyway, because like imagine like going into a really dark hallway that's really long, like a pitch black hallway that's really long is what I meant to say, and shining a flashlight. That light, assuming it's long enough, doesn't reach the back wall. I mean, it might, but it's so weak by the time it gets there, the photon emission, that it's not like it illuminates the end like a laser pointer would. You know what I mean? Anyway,
Yeah.
So Reese shared this. Sentai Filmworks shared this. What's better than late night snacks and anime? Food Wars on Toonami. And Reese had commented that this was interesting because assuming what's going on Toonami is season 3, and apparently Sentai doesn't have season 3 yet.
Well,
Right,
I
or
think
has
this
it
is
been? Haven't
probably
really-
season 1.
Okay,
Yeah,
but I'm just
season
saying,
one
like, okay, so what I'm saying is that that was Reese's comment when he shared this. And then he shared this in a follow-up.
What? Ever since you went to
Take
this
a deep breath.
Scheduling for
Let's
Okay.
I still can't hear you.
So here's the lineup for
We heard here's the lineup for then a sigh.
because I'm being told you guys can't hear me and I'm trying to rectify the problem. Can you hear me now?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
God,
Yes.
the delay is so frustrating. Toonami will have the following schedule
I know.
on the day that they're going to be premiering Food Wars. And Reese had noted that it was interesting that My Hero Academia is all the way dead last at 3:30 a.m. He was just noting that was interesting.
Oh,
Well, probably because
Right.
everyone
with the
wants
content,
to watch it
yeah.
already.
Well, yeah, you could say that now they've gotten people to sit there and watch more of it to get to the My Hero Academia, or it could be that they've already caught up My Hero Academia, so maybe they're
you do
it's a
realize
rerun anyway.
that
Who
there's
knows?
food orgasm scenes in the show, right?
What about them?
We're talking about
Yeah,
My
that's
Hero
right.
Academia.
Oh,
My Hero
never
Academia
mind.
is at
That would be
3:30
hilarious
a.m.
if
How
they did.
you guys aren't hearing anything I'm saying?
Hey, we're hearing parts. We're listening. It's a stream, and you're now back to rejoin us on the call. That we cannot hear you. We can see you now.
Okay. Back
Okay.
to screen sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just switching every time to a different browser. Okay. It's interesting that My Hero Academia is the last thing at 3:30 in the morning. Moving on. UK rock band The Struts performs Pegasus Fantasy in English for the new Netflix Saint Seiya 3D CG anime. All right, that's it. They're going to have an English adaptation of Pegasus Fantasy. Moving on. Professor Who had mentioned that I get Kara wanting a more accurate translation, obviously referring to Ava. That's good, but going to the extent where you include staff that is terribly phrased in one language because Japanese people decided they know best is bullshit. And he shared this. Reese, bless his heart, went out of his way to find this on the forums and sent it to us so we could actually read it without having to microscope examine it. He said, so this is a very interesting. I know that this was a thing, but I didn't know any of the details about it. Ava's not something I stay, with my ear to the ground on usually, but this person had a very interesting story here. So this person said, it's not even just that. The translation is so literal that it destroys a lot of characterization. I won't blame the actors because they're doing the best with the terrible script and obvious lack of direction. To which this person replied, so there's actually a reason the translation is so hyper literal and stilted. I was actually there in Baltimore to witness the instigating moment for this. So story time. A bit of background for those unaware. There is an ostensible remake series of Evangelion called Rebuild of Evangelion that starts out fairly beat for beat, but diverged more and more, so far culminating in the third film, which bears zero resemblance to the original work in any way and is more or less an original work with the same characters. The third film, 3.0, also features Kaworu, the gray-haired anime boy in those tweets, referring obviously to the one who supposedly says, I love you, yada, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Far more prominently than he ever was in Evangelion. So he's featured far more prominently, where he's essentially a deuteragonist.
Whatever that means.
I forgot to look up what this word means. Here, real quick. Oh, that's a great feature that never actually returns a result. The person's second in importance to the protagonist in a drama. I'm going to cast doubt on that. I didn't think he was that important. But so I guess they're saying in the third film, 3.0.
The third break, he's pretty important.
He's the deuteragonist of the story with Shinji. 3.0 also extremely amps up the romantic overtones of the relationship to almost blatant heights.
Augie, have you seen Ava?
I've seen the...
Yes or no? And yes, Brad, you are cut out.
Yes, I've seen I'm current with the movies. No, I have not fully completed seeing Evangelion. I've seen up to episode 17.
I'm basically just asking, can we verify that that's a true statement, that it's pretty much blatant that these yaoi ships are happening?
I still say it feels kind of forced that they're happening.
So let me address that real quick.
You're back.
Right?
Okay, I think you're not back.
Are you here? Do you exist? If you do exist, yell your voice.
If you exist, raise your hand.
Don't raise your hand. We can't see it.
Exactly.
Sharing the screen. Oh, when he gets back to Arizona, he's going to have such a field day on us.
I heard you
no.
barely.
Hear me?
You
talk a bit more.
Me is the only thing I've heard from you, AC.
No, you're a robot.
He's more like a guitar, sadly. Like someone randomly plucking chords on the instrument, which saddens me. But he can't control that. It's the stream quality that he's receiving, which there's not much you can do besides swap in and out between two different calls. Example says, robot, space, conspiracy, sunspots. Sounds like a bad 10. Reese says, stringception. Example also says he's auto-tuned. Okay, we hear the huff and puff.
As soon as I got tired of waiting for the Chrome one, so I started a new Brave one, and then they both joined at the same time. Okay.
We can hear them.
What was I talking about a second ago? Oh,
we were talking about ships.
Headcanon. So, this goes back to what I was talking about last podcast about headcanon. And I think that the perspective of which you go into it, you interpret the
Oh shit. Well, at least it paused at like a very thoughtful position.
Well,
It's like-
I'll say predictive text of what he'll probably say. The headcanon, you get obsessed with your ideas that you're sorry, not obsessed, but you have this you have
Image.
this idea in your head from when you first watched it, and it sticks to you. And because of the rebuild film coming out and whatever, because you had that headcanon, you kind of overlook what it might have been originally or whatever, because your headcanon is saying, oh, they're totes a ship, bro. Okay, are you back, Brad?
Totes toad.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I heard most of that.
Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that the Koslov effect is a video experiment where they recorded a guy with a blank expression on his face, and they tested out editing where they would show you his face and then they would show you something else directly after it. So one of the things that they showed was a girl on a swing. And when they showed it to audiences, even though these scenes were recorded in completely different areas, the first shot of the guy's blank expression, no smile, nothing, just looking straight ahead, blank expression, the audience said it's a proud father. Then there would be it would be the exact same video of the guy with the blank expression, and then the next shot would be like a turkey dinner on the table, and then the audience said it's a hungry man, right? They read into his expression even though there was none.
So they created a Mona Lisa smile.
What I'm saying is that the juxtaposition of scenes affects how you perceive what's going on. Now, with the headcanon on top of that, and your bias towards wanting these scenarios to be homosexual or heterosexual or platonic or whatever, that is going to bias and affect that Koslov effect as to how you interpret the scenes. Right? We see this all the time after a debate when there's Facebook articles or Facebook links being shared where they say so-and-so destroyed their opponent. And then the other side is sharing, it's the same debate, but both sides say that their guy won. See it all the time, right? Anyway, I'm going to try to screen share this. I've got the bandwidth lowered significantly, but let's see if I can get back to this. That's Chrome. Here we go. Okay. You guys can still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yeast.
the third film also features Kaworu, the gray-haired anime boy in those tweets, far more prominently, right? So he's the deuteragonist of the story with Shinji. 3.0 also extremely amps up the romantic overtones of their relationship to almost blatant heights, with one of the motifs in the film being Kaworu literally teaching Shinji how to play a duet on piano as part of a way to get to know each other. So fast forward to Baltimore 2013, 3.0 has been out in Japan for a couple of months. Funimation has been working on the dub, and they're going to screen it in America at Otakon, one of the biggest anime conventions in America, and their biggest exhibit hall, which fits several hundred people. This was, as far as I know, the American premiere, a full 6 months before it hit actual theaters. There is a massive amount of hype for this because, as I said, 3.0 was completely divorced from the original series, and the rumors about it had completely reinvigorated the fandom to a fever-loving pitch. So the room is packed to the loving gills at full capacity. Some people came out, they intro the film, and the lights drop and it plays. And what follows is a loving disaster. So I like 3.0. This is their opinion, right? So I like 3.0. It's a movie that's willing to go completely loving batshit. Boy, I wish this person wouldn't use the word loving as an adjective. And it more or less threw out every scrap of existing canon it possibly could in one of the most active attempts at audience antagonization it possibly could. But that's the problem. It actively antagonizes the audience. It starts with a 20-year time skip and all the characters berating Shinji,
20?
and refuses to explain anything for almost an hour of its runtime. And the crowd, I'm going to say fucking, the crowd fucking loses it. There's cheering, there's laughter, there's groans, people shout, what the I'm pretty sure they changed this from the actual one. This is not the same text. I read this through the tweet here. Yeah. That's hilarious. Okay. So
So maybe someone rewrote the actual opinions.
It's like a Christian mother going through and trying to censor
he
some
changed-
words.
he censored the post. So he's crowd fucking lose. There's cheering, there's laughter, there's groans, people shout, what the fuck, to massive applause. You can't hear me now? Hello,
I can
hello?
hear you now.
Jesus.
You're back.
Kind of
Okay.
dribbling, but
Great.
you're good. Continue.
People shout, what the fuck, to massive applause. Most of the people in that room were watching it for the first time, and they were getting the both barrels treatment. So there was an extremely high level of energy for a movie screening. So we get to the end of the first act, and Kaworu comes into the film for the first time. This its core still has been going on. Its staff were all anime nerds, and shipping Kaworu and Shinji is one of the old classic ships of anime fandom. They'd been handed an official work from the original creator of Evangelion, where the subtext of their relationship had been amped almost to text. So what did they do? They took the even farther. The implication is amplified. Every joking line is up to a full double entendre, and every entendre is upgraded to full-on flirting dialogue. The crowd, being almost 1,000 strong, who were not only big enough nerds to go to a con, but big enough to go to a movie screening at a con, see this and essentially lose their effing mind. From this point on, you could barely hear the actual movie because people were cracking up at every single line, cheering every action, and just going completely nuts. Just a fucking madhouse of hooting anime nerds. It continues like that mostly through to the end. People cheer, people leave. We all put the movie out of our minds and go get drunk as you do at anime cons. Everything's right with the world, etc., etc. Except it isn't. As the months go by, 3.0 has a slow rollout, leaves theaters, and news slows down. The first home release date is in America blows by, no release. Second one blows by, no release. People start asking questions and answers are really cryptic. People are wondering, why the fuck isn't it out on Blu-ray yet? Japan has had it for almost a year now. After a few leaks and a public announcement comes out, a picture starts to form. Funimation is delaying the release because they're working directly with Studio Kara to ensure a better translation. And as such, are retranslating and redubbing the entire movie from scratch because it turns
out what?
At the witness, it turns out there was actually someone from Studio Car itself at the screening at Odon, and witnessing the crowd reaction had mortified them. The film was supposed to be taken seriously, you see, and witnessing an entire room losing their effing mind with laughter at what was supposed to be a serious film had set off every alarm bell in this person's head. I don't know or the crowd at that particular showing was a unique experience, but if they did, it didn't work. Studio Car latched on to liberties taken with a localization as the reason, decided that people didn't take the movie seriously because the translation wasn't precise enough, that enough care wasn't taken with the project, and the changes had to be made. Car brought in their own translators and took a direct hand in the new dub of 3.0 and had to approve every single line, every single delivery, every single change. Funimation tried to push back but could get zero ground, and almost all the localization was stripped out in favor of a dry, clinical, direct translation. The home release of 3.0 in the West eventually didn't land until 2016, a full 3 years after the movie came out because of this. Ever since, Studio Car has been extremely hands-on with any and all translations of their work, which includes the Netflix dub. This has the same translation team Kara brought on for the 3.0 dub, and it's full of absolutely bizarre choices that make no sense in English, like referring to the singular character of Shinji Ikari as the first children instead of first child. First dub. We have here with Kaworu is that in Japanese episodes, all of his lines have a large amount of ambiguity that you can't really translate directly into English. This is where localization is extremely important. You need to look at the context of this character and decide which choice makes more sense. But since Kara doesn't trust localizers anymore, they mandated a translation that maximizes ambiguity at the cost of not sounding like anything an English speaker would ever say. All right, I'm just going to hope that you guys all heard that, and if you didn't, you guys can read it yourself. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
the lesson here is if you like something and the licensor is there, do not emote, which is not a lesson to be learned to begin with.
Somebody else had actually noticed that this isn't the first time that the line has been changed. So according to this person, on the ADV VHS, Kaworu said, "In other words, I like you," which is a direct reference to the song. In other words, I love you, right? And in the first DVD release, that's actually what they translated it to for the subtitles. In other words, I love you, right? Which is a direct
the
line.
non-platinum,
right? The non-platinum. This is a direct line from the ending theme song, "Fly Me to the Moon," right? Anyway, now in the Netflix one, he says it means I like you. In the ADV Platinum, he said it means I love you, right? Kaworu said he liked me. In Netflix, Kaworu said I was worthy of his grace. Kaworu said that he loved me, right? I have never had such kind words, blah, 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 right? So we know this. Anyway, just the point is here that it's not the first time it's changed, and it's old news now, right? Now.
Yep.
How much control do Japanese producers have over dubs and subtitles? Bill asked, there have been a lot of people talking about translation and the subtitles have when American companies make translations of dubs. Justin Savakis' answer, as much as they want. Typically, it's not a ton, but sometimes it can be a total incomplete domination. Every company that acts as a licensor for anime has a legal and moral obligation to be a good custodian to that anime. That means three things. First, making sure it's not used and abused in ways that its creators and producers would not approve of. Second, making sure that every legal and logistical element of its sale is done correctly. And third, doing things that will make money for the property and thereby its investors and creators. Larger anime producers that act as licensors on a lot of shows have a dedicated internal sales department. While the sizes of these departments vary, their tasks generally involve doing all of those three things. However, these teams are usually way too small for the ridiculous amount of anime properties they manage, and as a result, they try to streamline things as much as possible. The only way to make that sort of workload manageable is to have procedures in place for every show they deal with that flex based on how demanding the original creator and producers are. These producers vary wildly from publisher to publisher. Some demand approval over subtitle scripts as a matter of course. Some demand approval over casting decisions for dubs. Some need to check every line of an adapted dub script before it can move forward. Often, there's a... What's up?
Nothing. I was just saying cough, cough because Kara.
Because that's what happened? Yeah. Often, there's a bit of language barrier here. While most people working in international licensing and anime companies can speak English, sometimes fluently, it's almost always their second language, and they may not immediately grasp certain turns of phrase or cultural references that make their way into an adapted translation. Almost every licensor demands some level of oversight over parts of the process, and as technology evolves, it's gotten easier for them to ask to see something and sign off on it. God, that sounds like a disaster. While contractually, they may have limits to this power, such as a certain amount of time they're allowed to comment before an overseas publisher can just proceed as is. Those limits are usually ignored because if you don't follow a licensor's instructions, they get angry. And when they get angry, you're probably never going to get anything approved by them again, and may not be able to license anything they're involved with ever again. The real limit to how much oversight a licensor can have over a show's translation and adaptation is simply how much time and energy they're willing to devote to it. Older shows, or certain shows with easygoing creators, often don't need much oversight. High-profile shows from powerful creators usually require quite a ton. It all comes down to the power dynamics behind the scenes in Japan, which we're usually not privy to. And when it comes to smaller companies that really only control a handful of shows, they usually don't ever have a dedicated person in charge of it all. So if they want to have oversight, they're just going to have to move. Things are going to just move very, very slowly. Occasionally, you get creators who care too. It on using specific words that don't really work for native speakers. Japanese mispronunciations for Western. What a
As
weird
you
word to get stuck
mispronounced
on
that word.
and not be able to pronounce correctly. Yeah. Fact that they call younger adopted brother in Blood Plus Riku when his name is clearly supposed to be Rick.
Oh
So
my
that's
God.
kind of what they're getting at here. So Japanese mispronunciations for Western names and other such things. A creator's influence on the dubbing studio or overseas publisher can try to fight like that. I think that a lot of complaints about the final product are rooted in nostalgia for previous translations and a lack of understanding of linguistic subtleties. But that said, there are definitely some.
And he cut off. Well, luckily for the most part, while I was sharing the screen, you, the viewer, could have read along with that. So shall we try to continue FD&M with the topic before we get kicked off, or just wait till he comes back, or should I continue to show the complete adventure of Adventure Kid?
Do you show that off every episode because it's like incredibly coveted or something?
That's how it started out. Then the fans started liking it. So for this one, if we're going to be serious, the manga is far better than the show. The
Evangelion?
show has some animation errors and stuff. This is regarding the complete Adventure Kid.
Oh,
In the manga, it goes further, because what happens in this OVA, what happens in the storyline is this guy is transported back to World War II and is in a conflict while having some fantasy elements intervene. Which sadly, as rushed as the OVA was, it wasn't able to capture it. But going back to Evangelion in that regard, yeah, in this case, this is overreaction to the licensor not taking fan feedback as they wanted it. But that's their problem, sadly.
It's a fucking
want to support it.
miracle that the broadcast hasn't been ended yet. This will go down as our worst podcast in history. Okay, so I don't care if you guys didn't get the rest of that article, because the next one is more important, and it's kind of a recap. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
We can hear you. We can now see you in full AC face.
What's going on? Okay, which one of these is the brave one? Here it
Like
is.
how you reboot it and you're always like in a different position.
Yeah, you know, because I'm over here pulling my damn hair out over this. Japanese fans' official translator weigh in on Netflix Evangelion English subtitle debate. Hopefully, this is the last article we ever have to read about this on the podcast. Netflix Subtitles translated Kaworu's proclamation to Shinji as "I like you" compared to ADV's "I love you." The Neon Genesis Evangelion TV series and Neon Genesis Evangelion Death and Rebirth and Neon Genesis Evangelion End of Evangelion films launch on Netflix on June 21st, sparking a ton of new chatter about the classic 1995 robot anime series. One subject that has come up for returning fans of the series is okay. We're going to skip over. I want to read this. Top. All right, let's just jump through a couple of these so I can just get through all the crap I have to do. And then you guys can talk, and I don't even have to hear you. Let me make sure that this is...
Ooh.
It should be, but I'm a little bit worried. Here, let me stop screen sharing for a minute just to double check. Okay. Whoa. Okay. It is good, but I want to make sure I don't scroll down too far. Yeah. So when I have the low
Low bandwidth.
it shows less of the camera, I guess. So Spirited Away secures 28 million in China. So you guys remember we've been talking about how they finally have put it in theaters in China and it's earned 28 million. You got to say that's pretty awesome considering that at any time a company that owns the rights to something can just throw out a movie in theaters in a new place or just even put it back in theaters like they're doing with Avengers Endgame to rake in a bunch of more money.
Oh my God.
Milk those customers. I mean, in this case, it was people who may have not ever seen it because it was China.
They're supposed to air more script that was edited out, but
For
like you
what?
said, in this case,
For what?
Endgame
Endgame?
for the Avengers re-release Endgame.
Yeah, they're
They're
showing
supposed
you
to add
they're showing
more
you a
dialogue.
deleted scene, basically. Total
Yeah.
bullshit. Yeah, they're only doing that to try to beat.
They're
To
showing
beat
the
Avatar.
deleted scene where
It
Captain
worked
Marvel
for
actually
Deadpool
beat
too.
Thanos.
They're doing that literally just to beat Avatar in terms of ticket sales, in terms of revenue or whatever. Anyway, Isekai crossover anime Isekai Quartet getting a second season. Moving on. Kanako.
Rumored for the second season, it's rumored that Slime's probably going to join the party. But continue.
Kanako Taka. As a ambassador for Mamoru Oshii's new anime Vlad Love. So Oshii confirmed that Vlad Love will be a slapstick comedy that has about 5 main girls, including a vampire girl named Mai and a high school girl who is forced to shelter her. It's going to be 12 episodes, and he plans to complete it by spring of 2020. So, I mean, I guess it'll be interesting to see Oshii's take, right? Moving on. So I brought this up previously. They have a anime that is the story of Cinderella with the glass slipper, but instead it's panties.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit less funny when I read this because it's actually that he was given a love letter, and the love letter included a pair of underwear.
And you have to figure out who's
the actual story of I was looking forward to them coming up with an absolutely ridiculous reason why the underwear gets left behind at the ball kind of thing. But anyway, continue.
Continuing. You need to read
Jack.
because that article heard absolutely nothing of.
Both of you are bouncing in audio. Please continue.
FDM sounds fine to me. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Is this
Yes.
a case where I have the best internet? I hear you.
Okay.
No,
Well,
you just
California's
stuttered
got-
with bandwidth, but continue.
California's got garbage internet at my in-laws' house compared to the
We've noticed.
what I pay out the nose. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my Wi-Fi.
Name your
I'm
new
still here. Okay.
project. What?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I was just thinking. Okay, there's a new Your Name anime project that is a tie-in with the Japanese late night panting. So, now this is a very, very short series, and it literally just features a model or an idol, female, running up a steep hill in Tokyo. All it does is have 3 or however it's like literally like a minute and a half, and there's like a commercial break in between too. It's ridiculous. They run up a hill, and then they've got all these different angles of them running that they definitely didn't record in one shot because some of the angles are like their ass, like, and the person's running right behind them to get the shot, and then they'll cut to another shot of them from the side, and there's clearly nobody right behind them filming. They film some of it with a drone, but they have the woman run up the hill, and then when she gets to the top, the camera gets real close to her as she's panting. That's it. That's literally the show. I don't know what it is in Japan. It's very bizarre. For some reason, they're doing an animated one for Your Name, where they're going to do a tie-in, and they're going to change the name for this one episode to Hill's Name, right? Instead of your name or whatever. And it's going to feature 3 episodes. And again, they're like a minute and a half. And it's going to feature morning, afternoon, and nighttime scenes. And it is not immediately clear whether they'll simply be recycling footage from your name or will feature new animation as well. I don't know. It's very bizarre. I don't know why Japan is doing this, but again, it's very bizarre. However, the new Shinkai film is coming out July 19th. Oh, is that Japan's release? That makes more sense.
As you're mentioning this, I remember this ties into the concept, but I remember in Napoleon Dynamite, they had this one scene where Napoleon was like running down a mountain all the way up to the screen. When I rewatched the movie with the documentary option played, apparently that one scene when he's running down the mountain, they had to retake it 6 times to get him to actually.
I don't even remember that scene.
Oh yeah, Professor Who joined and said, Justin, my boss, his article was very good, as expected.
I'm glad that you could even hear enough of that. I don't even see Professor Who in the chat. Like, the chat is not even updated for me.
This is a very scary time. And thank you, Reese.
Absolutely terrible.
2 Remembered was Lyman Shield Hero.
Okay, continuing here. I just want to get through this podcast at this point. I'm so glad I chose to make it as few articles as possible. So the American TV drama Prison Break is getting an anime adaptation. And
That's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Why would you not just watch the show? Dub it in Japanese or something?
Like what, Supernatural? That
I think
anime?
Cranston has
Yeah,
some,
but I don't think that that's a direct
friends.
adaptation of the first season, which is what this is.
Well, I was about to say we don't know that, but apparently,
yeah. So it's a direct recreation of the first season. And I've got both articles up here because they show different images on the Crunchyroll one. Now, if you guys have never seen Prison Break, it actually legitimately is a fun series to watch. Here's Teabag right here with the pocket thing. Anyway, it legitimately is worth seeing. Actually, the girl who plays Rick's wife in Walking Dead was in this show, and they killed her off, and fans liked her so much they brought her back. And you didn't even care because they cut off her head in one of the seasons. And then they come up with this really dumb, but somehow, like I said, she was such a great character, you don't care thing about how you never actually see her face after her head's cut off. So they just got somebody who looked like her to. Anyway, it's really dumb, but it works in the show. So anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. When I first saw this, I thought that legitimately Volume 1 and Volume 2 of this manga was the exact same image, just cropped differently. Right, but actually it's a new drawing because you can tell by how much of the shoulder is seen here, right?
it really does look like
it's like why on earth would you draw the exact same thing twice? You know, because you know what, they might have actually just cropped it but had these on different layers and moved them a little bit for the crop, right? I mean, it looks exactly the same. It's so bad. And also both of these characters look terrible in this adaptation compared to how they look in the show. Also, this is the guy in the show who plays Chris Redfield.
For me, for the prison genre, I just can't get into it. They are stuck in prison. Where do they go? They escape or they are stuck there. But for a lot of people, they like it. So please continue as Atlas Louis.
Actually watch it. Go and actually watch it. And it's exactly like I talked about with Dexter, how it's like, okay, I immediately in my head feel like, oh, I heard the premise. It's a serial killer who kills serial killers. I immediately thought that I figured out any possible thing they could do with that. And I'm like, I'll pass. Right. Then I sat down and watched it. I'm like, shit, this is really fun. You know? Anyway.
I'm not going to lie. Because Bryan Cranston's involved, I would give it more of a chance. Please continue.
Bryan Cranston is involved?
Don't worry about it.
In what? In Prison Break?
Yes, continue.
Who is he in Prison Break?
Doesn't matter. Move on.
Games publisher.
A director or one of the writers.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know where you got that information. I'll have to look that up later. Games publisher Atlas has reported losses of almost 1 billion yen for the fiscal year ending in March 2019, although they insist that this does not represent a downturn in business. Atlas's financial statement for the fiscal year of the
Like
1st of April. What? Atlas, yeah.
I like Atlas.
Yeah, Atlas had the issue with
too.
their with the RPG, the Disgaea
Yeah.
RPG, whatever, right? So anyway, Atlas's financial statement for the fiscal year from 1st of April 2018 until the 31st of March 2019 shows financial losses of 904.1 million yen. However,
NIS that was Disgaea, right?
Atlas
did-
makes
oh,
Disgaea.
Oh,
Yep.
weird.
Yeah, Atlas
Not
and
weird,
Dis-
normal.
and Nippon
Well,
Ichi Software both are part of Disgaea.
You'd think that Atlas would distribute, like Atlas USA would distribute Disgaea then if they develop. Anyway, doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Well, technically,
On
Atlas
the
should
box
be
for
owned
the
by
PlayStation
Sega.
2 games, it says
I
Atlas.
believe you. I'm just saying.
It's weirder that Nippon Ichi Software is involved because the only reason I know that is because that's where I got the Prinny plushie at Anime Expo, is the Nippon Ichi Software booth. Anyway, so Atlas and the Prinny
Still want the
panties.
whole foot smash.
Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So, however, the company has said that it has exceeded its sales target and that the losses are part of an ongoing payments related to Atlas's transfer from its previous parent company, Index, to Sega. The publisher has said that game sales were stronger than expected and that the company's games have sold particularly well overseas, with the ratio of foreign to domestic sales increasing. Games published included Persona 3, Dancing in the Moonlight, Persona 5, Dancing in the Starlight, Etrian Odyssey, Nexus, Persona Q2, New Cinema Labyrinth, and Catherine Full Body. All right, Chrono Cross Revival likely to disappoint, and it's because it's a soundtrack revival disc on Blu-ray. However, Yasunori Mitsuda is back to remaster and arrange them, so that's nice at least, right? And it comes with MP3s. And if it's in an actual Blu-ray case, I might actually want to get this just so I can have something from Chrono Trigger in my collection. Dissidia NT director on Tifa, they will jiggle. That's all I'm going to say about this. I'm not even going to bother one more.
Move forward.
thing.
Move forward. No more 2 hours on this topic.
Here's
Well, literally all you have to say is that she doesn't have the freaking under.
she's not wearing a sports bra.
Yeah, but she doesn't
Anyway,
have the black whatever underneath.
That's the sports bra. That's what she was wearing.
She's unchained. Okay.
She's
No,
not
this
wearing
one-
a sports bra. So,
Oh, yeah. Right.
so the other costumes here, they include her Advent Children look. So, best of both worlds.
All right, cool.
All right. Release news.
Release news.
One Punch Man Season 2 Blu-rays get hit with a 2-month delay in Japan. Production staff cites, quote,
shit.
various difficulties. I wonder if they're going to turn Blackluster into another color.
Oh,
That's going to
Purple.
suck.
And
huh?
make it darker than black.
I mean, he's pretty much as black gets. So, Viz
Turn
Media
purple.
apologizes for fatal LGBT blunder. Now, I wasn't even going to bother sharing this. So basically, in their booklet for Sailor Stars, they list the Sailor Neptune and whatever as friends instead of lovers, instead of degenerate fucks. I'm just kidding. So Viz Media apologized for the mistake, so as not to incite the highly volatile LGBT community. Additionally, they mentioned they will send out
Degenerate thugs,
corrected
too far
booklets.
from
So
the
this is
truth.
why I'm sharing this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. They are going to be. You give a shit that this friendship instead of lovers, or trans lesbian lovers or whatever it is, because this character is like a guy and transfers back and forth or whatever,
is it?
then you can get a corrected booklet. Okay. Now, apparently, there's also information divulged by one fan. It seems the mistake has been relatively consistent since 2010. And seeing that it's happened numerous times, this is a completely separate, family tree thing. Which, why does this even need? I mean, I guess there's more characters on this list than need to be there, but it's a different one. It also said friendship. There's another one here. It also said friendship. This person has shared a bunch of crap. Look, friendship. One of these actually said
a couple.
partners, right? So there was this one had also
They
been
should have complained like in the beginning, not now.
okay. I'm sure they've complained all this time with all these different Viz things. Sailor Moon Crystal Season 3, Sailor Moon, and as I just showed you, this is the one that said friendship. This other one here says partners, which I guess is better. You know, I don't know what you want. Like, do you want hardcore
Lovers.
degenerate lesbians, trans lesbians, or whatever? I mean, I don't know.
Well, as for that kind of role model, technically those two are shades of gray and in their own interest in the
Right.
show, but I
Degenerate.
always see them as bad guys.
All right. So, Pokemon Detective Pikachu DVD and
Yes.
Blu-ray DVD and 4K HD 2K Blu-ray, and then I think
No
we're
one
caught up,
has
right?
that.
It took them that long to catch up with it. There is one Viz thing that was Infinity Force. I don't know if it's on Right Stuff, but
Okay.
that's
Well, let's talk
pre-order.
about that next podcast. All right. So there's the DVD. I guess Blu-ray DVD. I hate it when the DVD has a better cover than the Blu-ray, and in a case when I actually want to get a Blu-ray because the quality on those free. I actually want to.
Well,
I'm
does
not
the
going to ever
4K
get it.
Blu-ray have a different cover?
It's just got the stupid thing at the top.
Uh,
But
No one wants it.
I'd like to see the detail on the Bulbasaur eyes up close on these 4K
hopefully
versions.
it's not.
That shirt on the back looks so familiar.
Did they have that shirt on the back?
Code
the shirt
Link
on the
said,
back.
Oh yeah, the one.
Sorry,
the
I'm
one
a
I
bit
saw.
late. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for the $5.
Code Link.
Code
And
Link,
I
I
am doing
appreciate
as
that,
well
and
as
I
can.
apologize so much for how disastrous this podcast has gone due to my internet connection out here. So one of the things I was trying
Technically,
to
we've
say,
gone through a lot of stuff, even through the technical
we've
difficulties. But
sped through it because I'm sick of switching back and forth and turning off my internet and turning back on. But what I was trying to say earlier is that in the past, when I've come down here for Anime Expo, I have actually driven home to do the podcast at home because it used to be every other Thursday. I would drive home to do the podcast with you guys so that this wouldn't happen. There have been times in the past when I've done that, and it's killing me that I can't do that right now. So anyway, now we have the ones we actually have to read. Kyoto Anime Store shuts down suspected Chinese resellers' attempted Evangelion bulk order. So they've got this new full metal model, right? So a high-grade Eva figure could equal high profits for resellers. It's been 7 years since the release of the last new piece of Evangelion animation, and fans of the landmark anime franchise have already been told not to expect the fourth and supposedly final film in the Rebuild Evangelion remake sequel until 2020. Nonetheless, Eva fans still had one exciting release date to look forward to this summer. On June 24th, Figure Maker, when I read this before and just now, I almost read that as Figure Skater. Figure Maker, Tamashi Arrows, began taking pre-orders for its new metal build versions of Evangelion Unit 2. The high-quality piece makes use of luxurious die-cast metal components, and to die-hard fans, it's worth every single one of the 24,200 yen, or 224 US dollars.
It's called die cast metal. You gotta be a die-hard.
Hilarious. The company is charging for it. Customers lining up to reserve the metal build Evangelion Unit 2 on June 24th, right? So this is pictures of them. Anime robot figure / model enthusiast at Nanasiyugi was among those who made their way to the Kyoto branch of electronics superstore Yodobashi Camera, which also sells toys and collectibles. However, while he was there, an argument broke out between a store clerk and potential Chinese customer. He said, I'm at the Kyoto Yodobashi Camera, where they're taking reservations for the metal build Evangelion Unit 2, and they've made it clear right from the start that in order to prevent resales, they'll only be selling the figure to Japanese people. Fuck off, China. A Chinese reseller is making a big stink about it, but I really want the store to stand its ground. Right now, the Chinese reseller is asking them to find an employee who speaks Chinese. You can tell who the resellers are because they can't even say the product name. However, at Nanasiyugi, However, at Nanasuyugi seems to have initially exaggerated the store's strictness and later sent out a clarifying tweet explaining that the store is not, in fact, barring non-Japanese customers from reserving the figure. Correction, it looks like the clerk said they wouldn't be selling to foreign customers who are reserving the figure with the intent of reselling it. No, well, all 5,000 of these are for me. It's like that
These figures make
metal
great
cooler.
insulation.
Remember way like 2 years ago on the podcast, we covered that one where they're selling 101 metal cooler figures
Oh yeah.
for like $1,400 or whatever. Anyway, it's like literally you're only getting one of them for free from the normal price of buying one. It was such a bad deal. It's worth pointing out that a metal-billed Evangelion Unit 2 resale market seems to have sprung up almost instantly. Reservations didn't open until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and less than 5 hours later, one fan was, I'm going to assume that meant to say was able to find over 100 of the figure's reservations right before offering, one fan was able to find over 100 of the figure's reservation rights being offered for resale online, with many priced over 30,000 yen, which is not that steep of a increase if you consider that the cost is, 24,000, right? It's not you're not making that much of a profit. It doesn't seem like waiting in line for that is actually a good idea, Oh, well, here we got one for 60. Okay. Anyway. A significant markup of their first sale. I don't consider that a big enough markup that it would even bother me if I was ordering it. I mean, this one was just like almost 70,000. Sure, I get that, right? Anyway, in recent years, the twin booms in independent online commerce and international anime fandom have greatly expanded the scale of limited edition anime resale operations, with speculative shoppers buying up as many units as they can in hope of flipping them for a tidy profit once the initial distributors are sold out. It's a frustrating development for individual fans who simply want to get their hands on a special piece of their personal collection. And many Twitter commenters were quick to applaud Yodobashi Camera's attempted crackdown. Wonderful work, Yodobashi Kyoto. Keep it up. Retweeting this. Other chains across Japan enact the same policy. This is a good thing. The point isn't. I like the idea that they're all saying this after the original tweet that said they just won't sell to Chinese people. This is a good thing. The point isn't to sell products. What's important is for people who want them to obtain them at the correct price. They should call an employee who's an Eva otaku, and if you can't answer a set number of questions about the anime, you get banned from reserving the figure. At the same time, however, some commenters felt the problem is a complex one and worried that overly restrictive purchasing policies may hurt fans with various nationalities. But how do you determine whether a foreign customer is buying figures for himself or to resell them? I mean, it's so dumb. It'd be terrible if this leads to foreign customers who aren't resellers not being able to buy the figures they want to. It's not easy to spot Japanese customers who are buying figures just to resell them either. If the store is only strict with foreign resellers, all that will happen is Japanese resellers will flock to it to buy up stuff. The discussion of the situation's potential complications even had at Nanasuyugi backpedaling a bit from his initial sentiments. A lot of people have responded to this story, and it's taught me a few things. It's jumping to conclusions to say that someone is a reseller just because they're a foreigner. Even though it's 2019, people still have a tendency to voice opinions that are based on just their first impression of a person, but if you're going to criticize someone, you should look into the situation at least a little bit. In closing, it should be noted that in many cases, anime merchandise retailers and manufacturers limit the number of units customers can buy of a single item. The goal is and fans to purchase one for themselves and play with you as gifts for friends, but to also limit large-scale resellers from standing up as much inventory as they can to promote greater scarcity and higher prices. For the items they intended to resell, to promote greater scarcity and higher prices for the items they intended to resell. Keeping in mind that at Nanasuyugi wasn't a direct participant in the conversation between the supposed Chinese reseller and the Kodo Yodobashi camera staff, it's possible that the store was blocking the man's reservations because he was trying to order more than any more than any one customer, regardless of nationality, was being allowed. Okay. So yeah, I gotta agree that I think that the best way to crack down on this is to like do a limit of 3 or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
or a limit of 1. You know, because what people do obviously is you get a friend to go with you if you want to buy more than one. You know, you bring somebody else, you bring your mom, you bring somebody in with you, so that you have that extra person, so you can buy more than one if you wanted to give it to somebody else or keep one in box or whatever, whatever, whatever. You know. Anyway, you guys have anything you want to say about this?
The question they'd have to answer is, what is the proper translation of the line where Kaworu and Shinji are?
No, the question should just be: Is Kaworu and are Kaworu and Shinji gay for each other? Ugh. So this is. I'm not going to read this one. I've already read it, but it's not terribly interesting. But I thought this was. I mean, the article's not interesting, but the concept is interesting. So a model enthusiast got married, and he got wedding favors made of him and his wife, and
Oh,
for
that's
some
very
reason, Sapporo beer, die cast. I guess they it says 3D printed, but they go on to say it's die cast, so I'm not quite sure
Or maybe they have a
how
metal
that
3D
works.
printer.
I don't know, but anyway, I just thought it was interesting. And it's kind of funny because he also cuts it with he cuts his cake, which has a recreation of the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey, with a knife from the movie with the hilt I don't know what this guy's thing is all about, but it's just a little weird tidbit they added on there. And the company in China or whatever that made the thing for him had said that we're concerned because the peg doesn't match the hole size that you've provided. And he's like, oh, people aren't actually supposed to do anything with them. They're supposed to just take them as like a memento or something. But I thought it was an interesting idea. Moving on, Kim Kardashian trademarks, pardon, Kim Kardashian trademarks the word kimono and gets slammed by people in Japan. The hashtag KimOno, which I have to applaud the cleverness of that
Yeah.
title, goes viral as the star comes under criticism for cultural appropriation. Boy, I'm unappealed by these images. um, Back before they were married, Kanye West told Kim Kardashian that he would take her to Japan. And after their first visit to the country together back in 2017, the two have been vocal about their love for all things Japanese. This love for Japan has extended to their style philosophy, with Kanye even sending his team over to buy dozens of products from Japanese convenience stores, borrowing their sleek, minimalist packaging ideas for his creative company Donda. Uh, Now his wife is borrowing from Japanese culture for her own creative endeavor, trademarking the brand Kimono for a new line of shapewear, which was announced on social media on June 25th. Now, realistically, I don't know anybody who actually likes Kim Kardashian. She's like the Logan Paul of
Everything. Regardless.
Kardashians. I legitimately don't know anybody who actually likes them. But
Well,
I
they
mean, people
probably.
tolerate her because they like Kanye. But all right, so the Kimono website and official Instagram account were also launched on the same day. So I guess I should read this because I was looking for a translation, but of course Kim Kardashian doesn't write in Japanese. So she said, "Finally, I can share with." Okay, so when I first read this, I want to ask you: Is Kim Kardashian actually a robot? Listen to how this is. I'm going to read it in a special voice. You tell me if you can imagine this being read a different way. Finally, I can share with you guys this project that I have been developing for the last year, period. I've been passionate about this for 15 years, period. Kimono is my take on shapewear and solutions for women that actually work. No exclamation point, nothing, just matter of fact statements, right? I would always cut up my shapewear to make my own styles, and there have also been so many color that blended with my skin tone, so we needed a solution for all of this. Um, I don't even understand that statement, but all right. The third pick is the solution short. I developed this style for all of those times I wanted to wear a dress or skirt with a slit and still needed the support. Introducing Kimono Solution Wear for everybody, coming soon in sizes extra extra small to 4XL in 9 shades. I can't wait for you to feel this fabric. Hashtag kimono body at kimono. Photos by Vanessa Beecroft. Okay, so coming soon, blah, blah, blah. As soon as the announcement was made, people from around the world began slamming Kardashian West. Boy, I hate it when they refer to her that way. I don't care that Kanye West is married to her, but I just hate Kardashian West instead of just call her Kim Kardashian.
Why not just Kim West at that point?
Yeah, seriously, like it's so annoying. Anyway, people around the world
Easier to
began
spell.
shaming Kim Kardashian for her decision to trademark the name kimono, given that the word actually refers to a traditional Japanese government that's already been around for garment. Wow. Given a traditional Japanese garment that's already been around for centuries.
Garmerman.
Glad I caught that. So hashtag Kim. Yeah, hashtag Kim. Oh no. How in the high heavens can you trademark something that's been around for centuries and part of a culture you have nothing to do with? So before I continue, I'm just curious. Do you guys have any thoughts on this controversy or?
This does not surprise me because they've lit. Is it Kim or I don't know? One of the Kardashians was literally selling clothing wear with stuff like Metallica just straight up on it, and it's like, okay, that's not yours.
Was that
Doesn't
Kylie
belong.
Jenner?
I wish they would
It
stop.
might- it-
I think Kylie Jenner, isn't she a flat earther?
I don't know, man.
They're a
Who
weird
knows?
family.
I wish they would stop reporting on this because it feels like the more that they report on it, the more stupid stuff that they're going to do. But tabloids have to eat somewhere.
I don't know. So, I mean, the thing is that. So first of all, the article states in the title, and I actually haven't read this one all the way through yet, but it says that she trademarks the word kimono. I don't see anywhere that she quote unquote trademarks it. You know, it would be a trade. I don't think the trademark would be ratified or whatever the term would be for that. But anyway, people accuse the 38-year-old of cultural appropriation, and as Japan started to hear news of the brand name, the backlash grew even stronger, to the point where the hashtag Kim Oh No began trending. What a great hashtag! I mean, as far as hashtags go, that's one you could get behind, right?
Yeah.
So don't steal our culture. Hashtag Kim Oh No. Japanese people took to social media to protest in their kimonos, asking Kardashian West to change the name of her range.
Her
I'm not
range
sure.
Murata.
I don't know why that's the word they used. Change the name of her range and pointing out the kimono are precious formal garments, not figure-hugging underwear. Yeah, seriously. So kimono is the name of one of our Japanese precious culture, which has over 1,000 years history. I really hope at Kim Kardashian reconsider about the brand name. Your influence is huge. Hashtag kimono, hashtag Kim Ono. My culture's not your underwear. Blah, blah, blah. My grandmother and I, not your underwear, kimono. Kardashian West says, gross. Kardashian West says she chose to name the collection Kimono because of its association with her own first name, Kim. However, people in Japan are angry that an American celebrity is showing such disrespect for their national costume. Geez, after Jake Paul, yeah, I mean, or Logan Paul or whoever, we're not on a good track record, are we? We're one strike away from World War III Pearl Harbor type thing happening again. People in Japan are angry that an American celebrity is showing such disrespect for their national costume, which sounds like the most disrespectful way for Sora News 24 to refer to it.
Costume. The national costume.
Yeah, the national costume. What are they? Country of furries, which is imbued with important cultural significance. So, I'm not. Maybe I'm shocked at how dense she is. A kimono is a symbol of elegance, and it's meant to show modesty, not accentuate your figure. And the way you've trademarked the name and used it for something totally unrelated is extremely obnoxious. So I want to ask you guys, yeah, I'll keep that statement to myself. Here in Japan, kimono are worn to celebrate special occasions such as births. This is the kimono celebrating birth. It is our tradition and culture. Kimono coming of age days, where children become adults at the age of 20. Well, shit.
I've only been an adult for 2 years.
Children become adults at the age of 20. I just have to say, most 14-year-olds in Japan are more responsible than most of the adults I know. This is the picture.
That's anywhere.
Okay. You mean 14-year-olds anywhere or adults anywhere are less responsible?
Maturity,
Okay.
The maturity of a 14-year-old is more responsible than a lot of adults that I've seen.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant by that.
All right. I'll let it slide so I can continue. This is the picture taken at my coming of age day. I was wearing furisode, the most formal wear of kimono for unmarried women. It come from silk and gold. I don't know. Kimono has a very long history of tradition, never in underwear. And weddings, right? So they wear them at weddings. Kimonos are so important; they often pass down from generation to generation as well. Okay. Many feel that using the name kimono is like taking the kimono away from Japanese people. I mean, I don't think the French mind that we use brasiers. That's a French word, right? I don't know.
Sounds like it.
I don't think French words usually end with an R. Anyway, or an R sound. But
Well, they could have put accents on it, like when it's in France, but
brasier. So the significance of the negative backlash in Japan is best summed up with this comment online from Twitter user at Mariko Austin. Japanese people have been pretty forgiving in the past when people have used kimono in ways that Japanese Americans have seen as cultural appropriation. So when even the Japanese get angry about this, you messed up. Hashtag Kim Ono. Understandably, a foreigner setting up, I mean, Sora News 24 called it a costume. How about I can't think of one off the top of my head. Hashtag not my costume.
Sora Mono.
All right. So, understandably, a foreigner setting up a company with the name of a country's national with the country's national costume. Seriously, that's the best word you could come up with.
Actually,
it's problematic to
I
say
forget.
the least.
Did you say Sora was written by Japanese people?
Yeah. And this article is written by.
So
Ona
they're
McGee.
culturally appropriating themselves.
Yeah. Sora
Ona
News
McGee.
24 is everybody. I just clicked on something. Stop. How do I stop the? It's
Click
a
the X.
bilingual. I got it. I almost closed the tab, going for the wrong X. All right. So
Not
anyway,
that X.
undoubtedly, a foreigner setting up a company with the name of a country's national costume is problematic to say the least. And while Japanese people are happy to see foreigners wear kimonos as a sign of interest and respect for their culture, using the word kimono for a range of I don't understand the terminology here. For a range of underwear that has nothing to do with Japanese culture, and just
selection.
because it
I think
sounds
they're
like
trying to say line.
okay, shows no respect for the culture from which it has been taken. To make matters worse, Kardashian West is currently in the process of trademarking the word kimono body. Okay, so here's where it comes from. Kimono Intimates and Kimono World as well. Given the backlash over the new brand name, Kardashian West will have will have to think carefully about how her business decisions will play out in the original kimono world of Japan if the release ever reaches Japanese shores. Well, first of all, it just doesn't seem like something the Japanese would wear. And I was laughing because I was thinking about how she's gonna call it the West Ono or something, the Kardashian. I don't know. It's so dumb. Any words you guys want to share about this? And I haven't read any of the chat because of Brazier is indeed French, so thank you.
Well, because I wasn't surprised due to their previous deeds. This is just another case of they're stealing something because they're stupid as usual.
The name doesn't even fit what they're trying to sell.
Yeah.
Right. Do you guys remember Kanye West, I think, has an album that has a Confederate flag on the cover or whatever?
Doesn't he have one that City Hunter?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Album cover.
No,
I've heard rumors of it, but
that's not a
I
Kanye one.
really don't keep
Okay,
up with him.
So I don't remember exactly what it was, but he did something where he created something with the Confederate flag, and the statement that went along with it is, "I take things people hate and make them mine," right, or something like that. That was his like big philosophy behind his motives,
the
right?
Third Reich album.
People take he took the Confederate flag and made it his, right? So they took that line and they put it over a picture of Kim Kardashian. I take things that people hate and make them mine, right? Anyway, so Japanese man approaches high school girl on the street claiming to be husband in a past life. I'm not even going to bother to read this. I want to just get done with this podcast. So that pretty much.
Well, there's one place you put this guy. You put him in a mental ward. And
all right. So all right. We are. Oh crap! I just opened a bunch of stuff.
Dimension W.
Oh, I didn't put
Ooh.
those.
Are we already here?
Yeah, I told you. I did my best to make the podcast go faster for you this time.
Did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was mainly because I couldn't focus on any of the articles I was supposed to read.
Okay,
I just said,
so
fuck it.
to
Skip them
start
all.
things off, very quick impression compared to Flip Flappers. This or Flip Flappers? For Brad specifically.
So
yes or no?
I was telling Augie this before the podcast started, before you joined. I did watch all of Dimension W, but I gave it even less attention than normal because I was working on that Lupin shirt. So compared to Flip Flappers, if I had to sit down and rewatch one of them, I legitimately feel like I would probably rather rewatch Flip Flappers, but only because I feel like an actual rewatch of Flip Flappers, I would appreciate it more. And that this was...
You'd probably find problems.
This was Salty Ray. Dimension W is Salty Ray if you put a semicolon between Salty and Ray. That's what this was.
Okay, so I only watched half of Flip Flappers, granted. And it's funny because this was done by the same studio as Flip Flappers.
Same animation studio.
It was done before Flip Flappers. I liked Dimension W quite a bit more. I guess more because it engaged me. I had the idea that it was going to be very heavily car based, and that's like, oh, we gotta make ends meet so I can buy more gasoline for my car because I'm an old guy who doesn't need to race technology. Absolutely not.
He's a veteran.
Well, I think that my first impression of it is that the premium edition of the box set for Dimension W set me up for a show that I didn't see.
I guess
I was wondering when she was going to transform to this other version of herself, because I didn't see that whatsoever in what
Batman
I was watching.
Beyond, when he's in the cockpit of the thing and his like suit is all like wired up with the red or whatever. That's how the cover of the premium edition looks, right? Something like that sort of effect, where she's in like this negative world where it had an artistic style that never happened. I think it happened once in an ending theme or something like that, maybe in the specials or something. Like it did happen. But
For me, comparing this to Flip Flappers is about the same as comparing Tokyo Mew Mew with Cowboy Bebop. They're two different. Granted, it's the same animation studio.
Yeah, they are quite different.
Both to me have a fast pace considering the genres. Sadly, for me, I have seen stuff like Dimension W before. I do appreciate the artistic style, and granted, yes, I've seen it before. They've applied it in a different way that it feels slightly refreshing, even though some of the other stuff, like the psychological aspects, is like a watered down version of Ghost in the Shell. Love the animation. I like a lot of the
what was really psychological about it?
and I say watered down, and I really do mean watered down, like the existence of Dimension W and how interactions between robots and what is what is considered a cyborg in this world would be. I'm stretching the cyborg part out quite a lot.
I don't know the logical.
This is in.
But I get what you mean, maybe like sort of an existential.
Yeah.
Are you there?
But I mean, once again,
Okay, there you are.
I heard what I heard
yeah,
the
so
last
it's kind
bit
of like an
what you said.
existential
Comparing
understanding
it to like,
self-acting.
yeah, which sadly Ghost in the Shell 2 is still the king of that. I love the action scenes with it. Like you have Kyoyama, the main
Yoma?
character who looks like a ninja. Yoma, thank you. He's the main
Character that
It's this guy.
Mugen
I
from
love how
Samurai
he
Champloo.
pretty much
He's like
have
Mugen and Wolverine mixed.
Mugen, Wolverine, and might as well say Goemon because of how serious he is. I love how they made him like a ninja for the most part on how he attacks.
I thought he was going to attack people with his car.
My favorite part is in the last episode when he says, "This will be my last." What is the thing he calls it? The spinning drive or whatever.
My last whatever that thing
My
is.
last spinning drive, and then 5 minutes later, after the credits, he's using them again. He's like, "I'll never change this lifestyle."
Did I miss
pretty much his background
there's
is
like a post-credit scene where you see him and the girl still doing the same job after he's like,
the girl's name is Mira.
Yeah.
By the way, on Kyoma's name, I just thought it was funny when J. Michael Tatum yelled out Kyoma when it's like he did Steins Gate.
Right, Kyoma. which is another connection where I was saying that it's like Salty Ray if you put the semicolon in between Salty and Ray, because it makes it like it's not particularly like Steins Gate, but it's a style of show about Tesla and all that stuff that would fit into the semicolon universe, but it's very much Salty Ray. It's just Salty Ray. In fact, I think the voice actor, some of the same voice actors were in it.
Piccolo's voice actor was definitely in it.
I can't access Twitter. Can anybody else access Twitter right now? I haven't put your stuff in the Twitter moment. No, because they happened right before I can't open up Twitter. Let me try to do it. I could try to do it through Safari, but I'm logged in on there.
I have Twitter open.
Use your phone.
I can't add them to a moment on my phone anymore. They removed that from the app. It's so stupid. That's why it has become a burden to do these, because it used to be, Augie is texting 100 texts or tweets.
All right.
Add, and now it's can't do it on my phone at all.
I'll transcribe it. Watching Dimension W. This is another action anime where bounty hunter Kyoma with a lost past memory of war. I thought you meant he had a lost memory, like amnesia. No.
He just lost what happened in one event in his past.
Oh, actually, he did. That's right. He did lose one memory. I thought he was like an amnesiac. Is what you're okay? Anyway, memory of war.
Oh, if he was, we would hear a lot more from AC on that.
An android girl, Mira, who loses her father, who is deeply involved with desired technology. Next tweet is, you say watching Dimension W, starting that tweet as well. I feel like there is more plot mystery to be explored and would love to see a second season. I can agree with that. I just read 4 of 5.
Yeah, you just skipped like 2.
I
continue to say this tech of desired is called coils. They tap into Dimension W, which gives them extra energy not found in our normal realm of life. What they're trying to search for are the prototypes, which they call numbers, which are unfiltered coils that can reach more of this energy. Along the way, there's another experiment that's supposed to incorporate infinite energy to grant technically a Dragon Ball wish.
Question.
Wish.
So,
are we doing these watch clubs assuming people have or haven't seen them?
Well, I figure that people aren't going to sit and if they actually want, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. You can
I'm
lay down
just
a
asking
preface.
because I'm wondering if
Yeah,
we should
I
be
it's a
giving a
good
recap.
question. It's a good question. I think that if it makes it easier for you to explain, because sometimes setting down the premise makes it easier to organize your thoughts correctly into like so that even people who have seen it know what
Yeah,
you're talking
continue.
about. So I would say, it's not a bad idea, but I think that most people who are going to watch it who are going to watch the Watch Club they're going to skip it if they didn't watch the show for the most part. But it is always good for us to do what we do, where we, like you tried to have us do, where we say if we recommend it towards the beginning.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the action pace and animation style of the show. I can groove with the music, and this one episode had some sloppy dialogue. This is referring to when they were at the haunted house, and Mira can see ghosts. The second
I do not
episode is where
remember a
the
haunted house.
haunted castle, haunted village.
It-
It's the one where they had 3 different timelines happening at once, and they had to exchange the water
I'm not
in
saying it
order
didn't
to.
happen.
Just that you don't remember.
Either
My
way, there was some
connection's getting real
sloppy
shitty again,
dialogue
so I'm just gonna.
within that episode. I can see why this was simul broadcast on Toonami. I mean, it makes sense. You have a fast-paced action show. It's directly to the point. And like FDNM Read, I really wish that they would do a second season, because it feels like there's a lot of material not really covered in some art concepts that were being promoted for the show, but never really explored in the show. If they were to do a second season, though, I'd feel like it would be a similar vein as Bury the Mighty Decoded, where season 1 focuses on the boy character and season 2 focuses on the female character, and you'll see a slight shift in power. So hopefully this won't cause a shift in power like in Sally Bury the Mighty Decoded.
My only worry for a second season is that they've kind of already finished what they set out to do, so I don't know where they go.
If they were to do a second season, they would explore more with Mira's character, not so much as Yoma's character. And if you watch the specials, I think you would have more struggles with.
The specials were nothing.
The specials were nothing, but you understand with or sort of understand with the specials, the outlying logic that the robots have to think, with this one character kind of reinforcing the question with the question as an answer.
She was more or less just outright denying everything from what I remember.
Pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, the thing is, Kyoma, the thing is, there was a lot of elements, partially due to, how he forgotten whatever, that all kind of aligned in a way that I didn't expect. Not that I'm saying, it's groundbreaking storytelling, but, they interwove it in a way that I was like, okay, I'll buy that, sure. But they've already, covered all of his backstory. There's no memories that aren't uncovered or whatever, so it's
right.
They can't really peek past what they've already done unless they have some really brilliant original thing that comes up.
Some story shifts that kind of got me was I was trying to pinpoint who the antagonist was the whole time. At first, I thought it was
Loser, or was it other person?
Let's see. I'm trying to look up his name.
It's interesting because Loser, I think.
You have Loser, you have Morgan, then you have the foreign diplomat from Africa.
It was interesting to see Loser as Loser. You thought initially that it was like, oh, this guy's a bad guy, but then you learn it's like, so this guy's okay with Kyoma and stuff, and now they're kind of in this situation together where they're trying to get out or whatever. And then you kind of get a perspective change where it's like, okay, maybe he's not so much the bad guy. And the whole story behind Loser, how it's like he's a thief that never, even though he technically does because he's going for those numbers. I I don't know. I thought that was a neat little thing that made his character seem like, I don't know, a real character or whatever.
I can kind of guess who the identity behind the mask is, but they do it kind of appropriately or depending on your viewpoint, that it left me guessing because I never really introduced the character for a long time. I thought it was Yoma's commander who was the person in the mask trying to get revenge towards whatever happened in that event, which it turns out it wasn't.
And the person he ended up actually being was pretty interesting as well, or whatever. That
Oh yeah,
filled out his character more. That his daughter though, I'm assuming that's his daughter, his real daughter. Literally not a character.
So.
I don't know why she was there.
Well, she was kind of like Penny, and to me, she was kind of like Penny and Inspector Gadget. Gadget does all the work. She's kind of in the background, kind of instructing what's going on. Technically,
no, she literally does nothing. She's
but
like receiving orders, and she doesn't even really do anything when she is given the orders, or she just kind of observes. But she is child character who has to watch the cameras. That's about all she really does, and stays right beside Daddy. Sure, but am I wrong in saying that she is virtually not a character?
She does express emotion, and she does.
Yeah, but she does nothing.
Give Joker kind of a.
I don't know. She didn't really add anything to the show. I wanted to see something. I wanted to see her relationship with her father, quote father.
Did you see the special for episode 13 when they went to the bathhouse?
You mean the OVA? Yes. I did.
During the OVA, she felt more like a character. Throughout the TV series, she was there. I'll agree that she was there, but I wouldn't say she was pointless because I feel like if they do a second season, we'll explore more of what happens to her, maybe.
Sure,
but that's speculation on my part.
That's grasping at if there's a season 2. With
I
season 1
know.
Being there, if they remove her, I don't think anything would really change. But that OVA, I think if they had a season 2, I'd want to see more stuff like that, more day to day what's it like in this coily whatever world, and getting to know the actual characters. As far as character developments go, Kyoma, it's weird. He simultaneously has good development and like, I think he has good story development, but bad like personal development. It was really bipolar though, because at the beginning he seemed like indifferent to what's her name again, Mira. But then there's that one scene where he just suddenly kicks her in the backside and then is like, You're not a human. You can't feel whatever. And I'm like, what? Where'd this come from? I mean,
I don't know why they have him being abusive like that, but at the same time, I like when he first tries to attempt that, and he ends up almost hurting his hand or busting his knuckles doing that. So you kind of see him do like lighter stuff. But I'm not sure why they have to keep including that because, well, yeah, she can't feel it, but that doesn't.
I'll give only some leeway to the name calling, how you piece of junk, because he's being a tsundere, obviously, type deal.
Right.
I just
he's supposed to be that veteran
had,
character too.
Comments about something. So the greatest thing that happened, I loved it. So Rooster Teeth.
I'm unable to connect the chat.
What is that?
I'm unable to connect. The chat's not even loading for me. It says unable to connect. Please try again later.
I don't know.
Songs,
I just
banjo
know
playing.
these comments. I'm reading them now. So Rooster Teeth,
JT Master, stop talking about Rooster Teeth.
To take a silly meme the community made up about Yang from Ruby and turned it into a song. They took one of her songs and turned it into a banjo playing country song. Okay.
You.
Back to Dimension W.
Back to Dimension W. I have not read any of the manga / light novels. Have any of you? I don't even know if there's a light novel of this.
I know the
No.
manga's over here, so I'm actually kind of interested in picking it up.
Same here.
Yeah. How about, let's see, Mira as a character. She literally started from the ground up because she's, you know, a robot or whatever, an android. She's got the
Very
right
bubbly for the type of
she's got the right
Oh.
attitude, I guess. I feel like she really did all she kind of could given the situations. And her responses to Kyoma being quote abusive was appropriate, I guess. I don't know. I liked her. I didn't have. I feel like she needed more.
How do you
room to
feel
grow.
about treating
Rico.
robots like humans?
Pardon?
What are your thoughts on treating robots like humans?
It's kind of like Chobits. You're like, if he doesn't bang the robot in the end, what's the point? I mean, what?
That's the best answer you could have given me.
For me, for
It's funny
Mira,
'cause as
she
you were saying that, hold on, as you were saying that, I was thinking in my head, it's like, unless you're making love to it, what does it matter?
kind of like that robot chicken scene of where they keep asking, "Can you fuck it?"
I don't know.
I don't think
Okay,
I've seen
so
that.
back to Mira.
Yes.
Back to Mira. For me, she's pretty much a carbon copy of Melfina from Outlaw Star, which I don't mind. You have a good character concept. Go with it. Very bubbly, very bubbly. You see
I think
her.
she's that bubbly, but sure, yeah, she's more on the bubblier side when, you know, interacting with
She's
everyone
not.
but Kyoma.
She's not Trigun bubbly, but you see her have a softer side. You see her, even though she claims to be human, I still think that she's cyborg, but that's speculation on my part.
Oh, actually, at the very end when she got the new coil or whatever, I thought, so is she a real human now? Because her eyes changed, like they weren't all this technological whatever. It was like a smooth gradient. But
That's a
then in
good
the
question.
OVA, she's back to like the robot eyes. So I'm like, okay, I guess she's not. What was the point of that? Season 2.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if they somehow turned her into a real human, or if they took the Android 18 move where they're like, you know, she still has her ability to carry babies and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's basically
There's
the only
some.
thing that differentiates her from being a human at this point, as far as I know.
There are a slight few plot points that weren't tied. Like, obviously, we have Mira having a story arc. You have the loser's daughter having a story arc. Then you have
Wait,
referring back to the castle episode
what was her?
that
What
when
was
the mate
Loser's daughter's story arc? Or are you talking about for season
she
2?
needs to have one.
Okay,
For
yeah,
season 2, she would need to have one.
right.
Potentially. I mean, the writer can do what he wants. Then referring back to that castle storyline, there was a scene with the maid having her quote unquote father command her to give the water, but she wouldn't have been old enough to be that person's father. That was in the conflict, so that's still a loose end, kind of not tied, but who knows if it's going to continue with that. Or if that's further explored if they decide to do more.
Like, this is the typical any show that has one season. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, give me season 2.
Oof.
So going back to what you were saying before about the music, I thought that the
Oh
opening and
wow, I'm
endings
totally
were
deleting
fun.
that comment.
What comment?
Because it's under my. You know how Google Plus made you 2 accounts? It's like the one with your full name and the one with the real channel.
Oh, did it have you? Oh.
It's probably still there, but thankfully I was smart enough to have the foresight to put my initial.
Your initial.
I'll say one thing about the
shouldn't have
opening.
even said that. You should have just let it slide and then changed the profile picture to something else.
Oh,
I'll say
God,
this
I
about
sure
the
did.
opening to Dimension W. At least the dancing makes more sense in that opening than Black Parade,
Black
You mean
Parade,
Death Parade?
Death Parade.
Black
Um,
Death, same thing.
I don't care about the dancing. I just thought that I thought it was a nice opening and ending. Just with Flip Flappers too.
Oh,
They
yeah.
both had great music. But getting back to
I was
the
surprised.
Tesla stuff. So Tesla had this thing he called the secret of 3, 6, and 9. He said, if you understand the secret of 3, 6, and 9, you understand the secret of the universe. And it got to the point where, so basically, the secret of 3, 6, and 9 is that if you picture, let me see if I can pull up an image that might show this, so I can demonstrate it. Secret of 3, 6, 9. See if I can find an image that'll be easy for me to demonstrate. Here it is. Okay, I got it. This will work.
If
All
I
right,
talk,
so
does it flish me back?
this is what the idea is about. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. So the secret of 3, 6, and 9 is that everything reduces down to those numbers, right? Let's see, or rather, those numbers reduce perfectly, or something like that. So let's see if I can remember it. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. And if you reduce 16, which is 1 and 6 down, you get 7, right? 7 plus 7 is 14. 4 and 1 and 4 reduced down is 5, all right, to 5. And then 5 and 5 is 10, which 1 and 0 reduces down to 1. 10 and 10 is 20, right? So that reduces down to 2. And then you just reset it, right? So 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8. So you're just 160 now, right? So that's how these numbers work. But if you do 3, 6, and 9, 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 reduces back to 3. 12 plus 12 is 24. 2 and 4 reduce back to 6. 24 plus 24 is 48. 4 and 8 become 12. 12 reduces back to 3, right? So there's this weird thing about 3, 6, and 9 where these numbers cycle back infinitely to each other. And by the way, this is infinite. This will never stop the loop. So he had this theory about 3, 6, and 9 that this was the secret to the universe, his resonant frequency, and that it was so powerful in his mind that he actually used to drive around. Like whenever he'd go to a meeting somewhere, he would drive around the building 3 times before he would park his car and get out.
Wow.
Right? Like
I
he
thought
was
you were gonna say
obsessive about
he got some mad tats, bro, on his arm.
it. So the idea behind resonant frequency is this idea that like this is what he means when you say you can tap into the secrets of the universe, and that this pattern actually exists in nature and stuff. And the idea is that people believe Tesla invented what is essentially a perpetual energy motion machine, right? That creates renewable energy infinitely, could power the entire planet, kind of thing, which is exactly what Dimension W is about. And interestingly, after Tesla died, guess who got his patents? Take a wild guess.
Crook. The crook. The man who
Who
dig
was alive
ditches.
at that time?
No, guess who got him?
The Steve Jobs of the time.
Fred Trump.
Fred Durst.
Oh.
Yeah, or maybe it was actually his.
I thought he was going to pull out Ed there.
Yes, apparently Trump has the possession.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
Edison was
Donald Trump
going
had
to.
it in his possession. But anyway, it's just an interesting
All
thing.
right, enough said.
Some people believe that in the quote unquote Great Awakening, which I think a lot of it's speculation, but some people believe that in the quote unquote Great Awakening, that after we abolish the deep state and send people to Guantanamo Bay for treason, that Trump will release Tesla's inventions to the world and will have a new renaissance of human life or something. I don't know. It's a little far fetched to me, but
Okay.
some of Tesla's theories and inventions are very interesting, and seemingly it is weird that we're not using them, you know. And supposedly the reason we're not using them is because you can't monetize them as easily as it's like you can't monetize something that never stops working. You know what I mean?
You mean how car bumpers are made of the cheapest plastic in the world, but they used to make like pillow bumpers or something that you never replaced?
Well, still, yeah, sort of like
Well,
planned
some of them
obsolescence,
involve
or
manipulating the weather.
or my
but-
fucking laptop keyboard, right?
That would be hilarious if they deliberately made the butterfly design like that.
I'm telling you, I think they
Well,
did. I think they
AC,
designed it
regarding
correct.
keyboard, that's planned obsolescence
That's what I just said.
at that point. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
people that sell these expensive mechanical keyboards like mine, they're making no money.
well, my theory was that
Anything else?
Apple tried to make keyboards that would fail as a way to make people never not buy Apple Care again, because the cost of the keyboard repair due to the 50 rivets in the stupid thing, right? But that they failed even better than Apple had planned, to the point where they had to recall them and stuff. Which, by the way, as soon as I get back to Arizona, I'm gonna figure out what I got to do to get it taken care of, because it's starting to get really bad. And for some reason, while I've been in Arizona, or while I've been in California, my mouse isn't working quite right either. And I noticed that some of the things I highlighted using the highlighting thing weren't quite where they were supposed to be. Like, they were like a couple characters off, even though I wrestled with the stupid highlighter thing for like 5 minutes on anything I wanted to highlight, because it wouldn't let me select things properly. So I don't know what's going on with my computer, but not only is it under warranty, but I have an insurance policy on it, so hopefully I can get it repaired, and we'll just go back to my older laptop, which uses the same camera as this one. So it's not like it's going to be a noticeable difference once I'm back in Arizona for the podcast.
Eyes of the Wolf 101 says, too many vested interests don't want these technologies to exist. Don't worry, Eyes of the Wolf 101. The recent stopping further a recent pothole for developing a lot of this stuff is A, the right type of material, and B, we're getting so, for this latest trend of trying to reduce everything down to a smaller size, we're reaching to a point where it's so small that you can't make the electrical connection. So
nanotechnology, like how the new processing computers and stuff, they're still at the same threshold because they can't really go any smaller.
You know, it's funny. One of the articles I chose not to share was about a subway or a train station in Japan that was offline for a day, and like 12,000 people missed, their appointments or whatever, because a slug had actually gone in between some circuitry and got fried.
Oh my god.
And caused the trains to stop working.
I'm not surprised by that. That's why you're supposed to have replacement modules, but the troubleshooting probably was hell.
Yeah, well, in Japan, they have trained professionals at all the train stations and stuff that inspect the entirety of the train in under a minute or something like that, or like they're trained to go super, super fast. And they have like a special sector that each one of them looks at and analyzes and tests.
And they now have a slug checking select sector.
Yeah. So anyway, so regarding Eyes of the Wolf 101, I don't think it's impossible to suppress information the way they've been trying to. And there's been some stuff that happened just recently on Reddit and on YouTube and whatnot regarding certain things that came out with Project Veritas and all sorts of stuff that seems to be getting pretty heavily. So it's definitely not impossible to suppress information, but eventually everything comes out. And actually, I was going to say about the when we talked about the noodles, the ramen in space thing, that there's a theory. So I don't know if you guys know this. I'm not going to say one way or the other what I think about this, because I haven't looked into it enough to actually make an educated guess. But you've probably heard many, many times the theory that the moon landing was faked.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know? So you know how people say that Stanley Kubrick filmed that in a soundstage and was given funding for all of his projects, and that's how he was able to make 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Shining and all those movies he made, right?
Well, I've
Um,
heard that now.
well, I had heard that a long time ago. You know, just the theory. Oh, Stanley Kubrick filmed it because he filmed 2001: Space Odyssey. Like he had experience doing space stuff. No, guess what? There's video of him saying that he faked the moon landing and filmed it. I didn't even know. I did not know that was a thing until like last year.
Wow.
So there's actually like deathbed video of him saying that he filmed the moon landing and stuff. Now here's the thing though. The theory behind it is that they had to film the moon landing. That we actually did go there, although there's all sorts of theories about it. That you couldn't get there because of it's impossible to pass through the Van Allen radiation belt.
Which is why people are speculating that, oh, that's why we haven't gone to the moon
That we haven't gone
in the
back. Yeah.
last, like, what, 60 or something years?
Right, but the other idea would be that you can actually get to the moon, but you can't get the film through the Van Allen radiation belt without it
Deteriorating.
If you want to
wiping
go,
the film, right?
So, in other
if
words,
you
what
want to
you're
go that
saying
far,
is
the whole
that
point.
ramen in space and the live chat in space had to be filmed because they can't get past the radiation belt.
But the thing is, no, see, but the thing is, they would have needed the broadcast of what they were filming in space for that to for them to green screen on top of it, right? So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that these are the theories, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. See, that's the reason why conspiracy
Well,
theories. Um,
you do realize why we had the race to begin with, right?
yeah, during the Cold War.
Yeah, the whole point of getting to the moon is to prove that whichever side had the technology to shoot missiles from their country over to the other
Right.
country.
And
The whole point of Star
my
Wars.
theory as a kid, but like cuz when I was a kid, conspiracy theories were fun. They weren't serious like they are now. Um and when I was a kid, I used to like I rationalized in my head that yeah, we faked the moon landing to beat the Russians. And that we managed to get there later probably, but that the purpose of doing it was to beat the Russians because of the message that it sends to the world, right? And it also had this real unifying effect on the world because even though America was the country that sent men to the moon, it was a triumph of the human race, right? And there's a whole thing about stuff like that I don't want to get into right now about a way to pacify or whatever the human race by our differences disappear when you do something like an accomplishment like that. You know what I mean? But
Dimension.
yeah, but so the thing about Dimension W is that they were talking about things like Tesla, right? And his, I mean, it was a very fictionalized style, not stylized. They took a bunch of liberties with it, let's say, for what it did. But a lot of the stuff was based on some sound. What do you
Theories.
call it? Not, I guess you call it theories. But one of the things that really irritated me about it is that, so you know how, like, for example, if you take Steins Gate, they've got when they in anime when they explain concepts, they use visuals, right? So you see the world lines split, right? And they had like a visual graphic to show how the world lines run parallel and how they branch and split off to other world lines and all that stuff. And in Dimension W, the best they could come up with was putting a W on the
Next
other
to the
side of
exploit,
Dimension X.
which means it's still on Dimension X.
Dimension Z. Coordinate Z. Negative coordinate Z.
This is negative coordinate X, which is what they've listed as W. And I thought that was so ridiculous. Like, it's not even trying to explain this
never mind.
concept.
So hold on. Speaking of these graphics, while I have it on my mind, is it this show or something else I've watched? Oh, I think it might be Strike the Blood I'm thinking of. I was gonna say every time they explained something of the lore of the world, they didn't have graphic or anything, so I just got kind of lost sometimes. I think it's
Graphics are
Strike Blood, though.
tremendously beneficial to anime.
What
Because
is?
graphics like this,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're talking about, because I think in like for instance in Stranger Things, they like use the piece of paper and show the flea on the wire and then turn it upside down or whatever, right? And the idea is that you're in the upside down. That's where they came up with the name of it and everything. And it didn't even have to make sense. It was just a storytelling
Visual.
tool, right? But they did that visually with a person showing you that, whereas in anime you're just animating it, so you draw the complex thing. You don't have to have somebody sit there and explain it using like a french fry and a salt shaker, you know what I mean? You do it with graphic, right? And it's such a beneficial thing that anime has that doesn't translate well into live action because it takes you out of the story. You get sucked completely out of the story when all of a sudden you're in this abstract realm, where they're explaining things. But in anime, it works because it's drawn, right?
Mhm.
So, and actually, just to clarify, the term rendering the abstract concrete comes from one of the specials, and it has to do with the idea of why they call it Dimension W, and they specifically talk about how you don't refer to it as Dimension X, Y, and Z, right? And they called it the fourth dimension, didn't they,
I
in the
think
show?
we
Yes.
discovered a fourth dimension.
Which doesn't make any sense because we already have a fourth dimension. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
which
sure
we
the
can't
fifth
actually
dimension is
see.
time, right? So like it may be the sixth or seventh dimension because I think we already have categories for dimensions going past the third. Third dimension is length, width, and depth, right?
I think at
I'm
the
kind of
seventh dimension,
forgive
it
this
becomes infinity
because
or something.
you have someone who's been working in art and literature for a long time. So it being fiction, you can take some liberties of it not being true just to get another concept to be illustrated. Granted, you're trying to explain it might take people out of it because it's totally going bat shit illogical, I guess you would want to call it. But not all science fiction is going to be based off of Nova's greatest and latest technology, too. So, but that's just another viewpoint.
I have a last minute story, real quick, if I have the opportunity. So apparently on Twitter, there was someone I was talking to publicly about like the Cardcaptor Sakura slipcase crisis. So this
Oh
person
yes,
said,
they ship some.
no slipcover again. Just as a recap. And I'm like, hey, I got mine. I just pre-ordered mine or whatever. And they're like, I literally got a message from Funimation after my tweet saying that it was not released with one and was never printed. And today they said, well, if you're still curious, 4.5 months later, and a follow-up in April. And here's a picture of them with a flattened slipcase.
Is that Jimmy G's?
This is
tweet?
what's their name? Asrealis at AX.
Okay, because our friend
Jimmy got one as well.
he got one, and he had
Well, if
shared it on Facebook.
Asreals at AX
That's
is
not Jimmy's.
Jimmy.
That's not Jimmy's thing, but that looks like the image he sent. I'm wondering if that's the person he sent it to, and if that's their
Oh,
account.
he sent one. Okay.
No, he sent an image of it on Facebook, and
Oh.
he tagged me. Of course, I can't fucking see it because my internet's so garbage.
Wait, the envelope says Funimation product concerns, so maybe they did get it from Funimation.
Okay,
Hold
here,
up, hold
I
up.
got it right here. Okay, so this is no. That's not the one that Jimmy had taken a picture of.
Oh yeah, that must be it.
Well, I'll confirm that. Yes, that is where they will send their replacements from. Because I just got 2 replacements today.
So that is hilarious that they
This is
they
the
went
image
back.
that Jimmy had shared.
It
right
looks
here.
similar, but
Yeah, it's not the same because he got another one with it. Anyway,
pretty hilarious.
All right. So, do you guys have anything else you want to say about Dimension W? I have almost nothing to actually say about it other than it was an interesting concept. Go ahead.
I would recommend it if you want one action series with light points on it. If you're tired and just need something to keep your mind off off of your stress. This is something I'd recommend.
It's Steins Gate without gripping you so much you can't not marathon it.
Okay.
Like it has the interesting like it's got like a surrealist somewhat existential aspect to it that is interesting, but it's not so gripping that you can't step away kind of thing.
Then again, you're literally comparing it to the number 2 anime on MAL for however many years straight.
Yeah, I'm just using it.
AC said,
Obviously,
interesting
you use the number 2 anime on MAL because people know it. That's the point. But
Okay.
I still think that it's more like Salty Ray. It's Salty Ray with the added twist of another dimension, which I felt was very underutilized.
What do you like more, Salty Ray or Dimension W? Just say whichever one. Don't give a long. So when
Don't
I was
spoil
5, I
it.
got Salty Ray in the mail.
I don't know. I don't really like either.
Okay.
To be honest.
Okay.
That's partially why I use Salty Ray as a reference, because it's bland. It's as bland as this, except Salty Ray was Studio Gonzo, so it's extra bland.
Actually, I thought that like the world
It's not extra
came
bland.
together,
It's
and
the
I
pork and
believed
beans
it.
of anime. Come on.
Yeah. So for a sci-fi, I don't rabidly hate sci-fi. I thought it was a pretty decent watch. I would recommend that you watch it if you have the time. And it does complete an arc, so you don't have to worry too much about like, oh, but cliffhanger. So yeah, give her a go if you're not rabidly opposed to sci-fi. And that's all I really gotta say.
All right. So, like I said, next podcast would land on July 6th. That's day 3 of Anime Expo. It is almost certain that we are not going to do a podcast because I can't possibly catalog all the archive or all the articles leading up to that. Although some very interesting stuff is going to happen in the next week. Anime Expo. So there can be announcements and all that stuff probably we're going to have come out of there. Vic, Ron, and Monica's depositions are going to be
public, transcribed.
Thank you. And I don't think the videos are going to become public record for a while, but that might also happen, and that would be a very interesting thing to just look at some point. But that's going to happen, and then the following podcast after that would be 7 days later, so it's going to be before the next court thing. But what's relevant for us to know is that, July 13th will probably be when we return. And we are watching the old black and white discotheque release of Dororo.
Except for the pilot film.
This one right here?
No. The pilot film is on there as well. Are you saying it's not in black and white?
Yeah.
Or what?
The pilot film's color.
It's like brown and white.
Why would the pilot of the series
be
not
color
be
when it's older? I don't.
Is it older?
It might have been released in theaters. Who knows?
I don't know. It's weird. Anyway,
I don't recall it being black. We have this.
Is it not black and white?
We have a little bit.
Yeah, and the
I thought it was black and white.
Well, I'm going based off. I'm going based off the cover of the discotheque thing.
At this point, when we get to it, I myself would also finish the newer Dororo that was released this past.
You could, if you wanted to. You could watch that, but I probably won't have time. I'm going to be scrambling just to finish that because I'm not going to be able to watch it.
I'm dub waiting the new Dororo.
And you're what?
Dub waiting.
So one of the things, like, I'll just leave it at this. If we have funding on the OCA podcast Patreon, if we can get to that's the kind of thing where I might be able to get what do you call it? What do you call it where you use your phone as the Wi-Fi source?
Hotspot.
Hotspot.
Oh, hotspot.
I legitimately don't know if that would be better because my phone signal in this house is also pretty crappy. But I would look into it if we had some more funding on the OCA podcast Patreon, because I fucking hate what happened tonight. I absolutely hate that.
Tweak says
Um,
the pilot is in color and the TV was black and white because
of the amount of blood. Of the amount of blood. Isa Wolf says, I can attest to the all-consuming desire to marathon Steins Gate. The interesting thing about that is how it comes in so late into the series. Like, but as soon as it happens, you literally can't stop
Well, I
watching it.
binged it either way.
one of those they have to like wait 11 episodes before it starts getting the ball rolling.
I mean, I think it rolls from the start,
No,
but
it's not that it takes that long to get the ball rolling. It's that there's a key plot point that happens at that point that kicks it into high gear. Like they have gripping things that are happening from episode 1, but what's really brilliant about it is that they give you something really thought-provoking and interesting that happens in episode 1 that you're supposed to forget by the end of the series. Like, you are deliberately supposed to forget about the fact that it happened so that the ending is something that is completely well earned, that you forgot about. But in order to do that, they give you something that's weird and you don't understand, that you understand at the end, but you weren't even thinking about it until the moment that they bring it back up. And in order to do that, they have to build the world and everything that's going on with these little things that are just interesting enough to keep you going. But damn, as soon as that thing happens, like at episode 12 or whatever, like I said, you cannot put it down. So anyway, all right. So thank you guys for dealing with the awful connection I've had tonight. I'm so sorry for that. I'm actually a little bit relieved that there wasn't anything too terribly important to talk about. It was mostly just info dumping. So as frustrating as it was, at least it wasn't like, at least it didn't
At least it
ruin.
was quick.
Yeah, at least it didn't ruin something that had the potential to be like a masterpiece episode. Like, every once in a while we have one where we knock it out of the park, I feel like. So I just want to thank you guys again for sticking it through all the way to the end, which I feel like was a lot easier because it was shorter. And I'm curious your guys' thoughts regarding podcast length. Should I go out of my way to not cover as much, and just try to cut out anything that is even just supposed to be this is happening, to get out all those articles so that the stuff we do talk about, it doesn't take up as much time altogether. So I'm just curious what you guys think about that. Because again, the original plan of going weekly was to not have podcasts that were as long, but
where would the viewers need to reply in order to
just
get their
reply
voices
in the
heard?
chat or in the comments. I don't care. I'm not going to do a poll or anything. I just want to know people's thoughts. You can even just message me on Facebook if it's easier. But I just want to know if people like the longer podcasts, because I know some people like to just listen, which I think is great. I think the way it would go is that if you're live, it's better for them to be a certain length, shorter or whatever, maybe, or at least just not super long. But if you're watching it later, then it doesn't matter because you're usually listening while doing other stuff. But
at your own pace.
anyway, yeah, so the next podcast again is going to be Dororo. Anime Expo is next week, and definitely tune in, because those depositions are probably going to have some very interesting things in it that will probably, I think, change the perceived direction of the case, both in terms of the people involved and everybody who's watching from the outside. So that's going to be something to really keep an eye out for. And I would suggest, if you're not already, that you subscribe to Ricada Law on YouTube, because I think he gives a pretty good breakdown of everything.
And
Anyway,
be Anime Collector while you're at it.
Yeah, you can subscribe here if you made it this far. But other than that, for now, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you.
Remember, Dororo and Adventure Kid. See you next time.
I have no idea if that's been.